Entering the Mayo Experience.
Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience Week 2. Spread picks, game previews, totals, free money teasers. We got it all for you. I do want to let everyone know that if you out there want to get into a draw for 20 DK dollars, two ways to do so. One, smash the like button for this episode. Leave your Draftkings handle in the comment section. Tell me who you are using in Survivor for week 2. There's also Survivor picks at the end. We're all still alive after 1 week. It's the first time in 3 years that's actually happened. Way number 2 to get in the draw for 20 DK dollars. All you audio listeners out there, and I mean, even if you're just a video watcher, go subscribe to the Pat Mayo Experience if you want to get into this draw. Download the episode, leave a 5-star review, Draftkings handle, something nice about the show, and boom, you're in the draw for 20 DK bucks. Winners announced live Monday mornings, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time on the Draftkings YouTube channel and the Pat Mayo Experience audio podcast. Geoff Fienberg is in studio with me. Did you know we are in a race to get to 15 million downloads for the year?
I heard about it.
Oh, you listened to the golf show, did you?
Some of it.
All right, yeah. So we're trying to go for a double-double, as I like to call it. 15 million audio downloads, 10 million video views. But
That's what they call it? Is that like an official
that's
thing?
what I'm calling it, at least at this point. So if people are out there and you see like a challenge show that pops up, a UFC show, a golf show, you don't need to listen to them. I don't really care about that. But download them anyway, then delete them so I get credit for that download, Geoff. I need your help with this because I know you're the type of person that would see it come up and not download it if you didn't want to listen.
Oh, obviously, but in the purposes of helping the brand, I will download.
15
But people don't download things they don't.
I do. I said,
unless you're subscribing.
yeah, that's why people should subscribe to the show. You leave your Wi-Fi on, and then all of a sudden, boom, it's going. Introduce the third member of the show, The Coin. Worst week in coin history, week 1. It didn't have enough games to watch heading into the season, so it didn't know what to do. So hopefully a rebound week from The Coin.
You didn't wish me a rebound week.
Yeah, rebound week for everyone besides myself, apparently. We'll get to the records here in a second.
Don't, please.
Paul Shaughnessy on the ones and twos behind the camera, the fourth member of the team. I probably should preface this by saying we record this on a Tuesday evening, so some stuff can go out of date pretty quickly. Hopefully not. Not so bad last week for the amount of stuff that did go out of date, but if you're wondering why we're talking about some guy who's like out for the year, it's because all of a sudden he is, we recorded before it happened, all right? Just so people know. All right, here's what you do. The fifth member of the team, he's out there. He's all fired up. His name, coming off a pretty good week, Tim CUST.
Tim CUST.
That's not my name.
Heard it was.
No, you heard lies.
Are you coming off a pretty good week?
No, not really. Did hit my super lock and did stay alive in Survivor for the first time since my perfect season. So it wasn't a complete write-off. And I got both Monday night games right, but it was a bad week.
Well, I mean, you came into last week saying you were riding a heater before the season started. Are you now actually riding a heater because you got 2 games right in a row?
If you compare them to the picks I've made this so far, yes.
So whose record should I reveal first here, Geoff?
I'll reveal. I want you to know that in every day there was a game during the week 1 of the NFL, I won 1 game a day.
That's pretty good. One per day. That's a solid. At least you're consistent.
Except when you factor in that Sunday, there are about 13 of them.
Yeah, that's not great.
This was like, I went 3-13, and that's like making a 9 on a par 3. Because maybe you could get away with a 3 on one of those weeks where like 5 teams are on bye.
6 teams on bye.
So
this isn't the CFL, Geoff.
But there were just too many shots missed.
Yeah, well, I'm happy after losing last season. I'm glad you all decided to spot me some games here because I'm going to need them. Because I didn't have one point last season where I had 2 good weeks in a row. I was 10-6. I lost both Monday night games. I thought I was going to get a hot 12-4 to start, but alas, that was not the case. 10-6 for me, 3-13 for Geoff, 3-13 for the coin, and Tim, you are a mighty 4-12. You really did have to get hot on Monday night.
I did. It's a bad start. I feel like Dustin at Pebble Beach when he took an 8-on-2 and threw the whole tournament away. I don't know whether I can come back from this kind of a deficit.
Tim,
you're back by 6 games.
What is a realistic goal week to be at 500 for both of us? Like
week
the end
6.
of the month?
Week 6.
It's one hot week and all of a sudden you're 500 again.
Yeah,
No,
but I mean, if I was this ice cold,
It's one hot week before the buys kick in. This is like a devastating amount of games.
It's a big minus EV
Like I
week.
said, it's I didn't make an 8 on a par 5. Like I made a snowman on a par 3. Like that's hard to find a recovery.
It's like starting your round with an X. Like good luck to breaking 100 at that point. Like you've got to put together a pretty good round to have something even somewhat respectable.
Well, if they're still watching, I battled back last year to challenge the coin.
I know. You
So
passed
I
him.
did this early last year too, but I'm real
You and I snuck through with Seattle.
real sour about this.
Yeah, well, you and I snuck through with Seattle as our survivor. They won by one.
I'm very lucky.
Tim's team, the Chargers, went to OT, so that was getting kind of close. Tim and I both hit our super locks. Jeff, you were 0-1 because Tampa, the curse. I can't believe you used the cursed Tampa Bay Buccaneers as your super lock.
We
MVP
could start
Jameis
there.
looking
That is,
good.
I'm way too heavily invested in both him and Evans in a lot of my bigger leagues. So I am just eating it.
I don't regret that pick. I think they play that game 10 times. Tampa wins 7 of them.
How?
He is, you know what? There's no nice thing for me to say.
The nice thing to say, fantasy-wise, at least about Jameis, is that he has 3 really horrendous games a year. Maybe that was just one of them. And now he can't
I'm not going to overreact.
No, of course not.
No, I agree. It's week 1. It's not a time to overreact, but that was as bad as it gets. And I got to say, anything that Tim put on a pedestal was horrendous to start the year. Every single thing.
Really,
There's
you think
only
the
one
Chargers
thing.
played horrendously?
Okay, no. I was going to say, the Chargers didn't play horrendously. They had, hold on, stop.
Question before you get into this. Did the Chargers have a run defense or not?
We're going to get into that at the game because I've got it in my notes. But I just want to stress that they obviously have things to clean up. It wasn't a horrendous day because there were a lot of positives that I was able to take from everything that happened. But as it pertains to Tim and all his like bold proclamations for the year, everything got like literally crash bottomed. And don't worry about the Chargers. They're just like it's just going to happen uglier, if you know what I mean.
Oh yeah, it's going to be more devastating because they were the Super Bowl pick.
No, exactly. It's just something's going to happen that's way more soul crushing than that's already happened. That will be greater than say what he's done to the Bears or what he did to
The Bucks
or Antonio Brown or his own Jets. Yeah. So yeah, don't worry. The Chargers are not free of a curse at all just because they won a game.
Tim, we bullied you into putting the Chargers on your free money teaser last week, and it's a good thing we did because it was a win for you on that one. I mean, you lost the first 3 legs of it, but pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, what do I say?
Remember when we told you don't tease up the Jags against the Chiefs because the Chiefs could just win by 1 million? Well, what happened?
Honestly, I only missed the teaser by 3 points. I actually don't really regret it. I mean, I think that was still a pretty smart play. I barely missed it.
They scored a garbage time touchdown to get within 3 points of the teaser.
It was 10-7 and their quarterback never took a snap.
Yeah, like that just
it's
a series of unfortunate
But
events.
I agree with you. You do not. It is very dangerous, even in a teaser, to pick on those teams because if you are wrong,
let's just say I may be going to that well again.
Oh, good God. All right, let's get into the game.
He loves the Raiders.
He loves the Raiders.
He loves them.
He's playing in the dirt outside the stadium with Alanis Forsett after he tweeted it out. Tampa Bay at Carolina is the Thursday night game. Carolina favored by 6.5 at home. 49.5 is the game total as we see it right now. Both teams 0-1. This is a division game. We talked about Jameis coming off a truly horrendous week. This is a tough spot because I don't think Tampa's actually as bad as they kind of showed in week 1. I do expect a bit of a rebound. Their defense actually looked a little bit better. Either their defense looked good or Jimmy G sucks, one of the two. But I couldn't make heads or tails from Carolina and what they were up to. They didn't really start doing anything until they were down by a whole bunch. They couldn't stop the Rams the entire day. Cam didn't look right. Not throwing-wise, but he wasn't running as often as I was hoping. It was basically McCaffrey, DJ Moore, and that was it for their offense. I'm prone to take the 6.5 at home, but I'm willing to hear other options here. Do you see this game a little bit clearer, Geoff?
I want to take the 6.5, but you were right. A lot of people alluded to it. I just assumed that time would heal things. He is not healthy. He makes no effort to run. And I'm talking about Cam Newton. I saw it blatantly. And that was my biggest bet of week 1. And I was lucky to get a push on it because I got in on it early, as I mentioned, got the 3 points. Carolina looks so sloppy.
But they
could have
still put up points.
Yeah. I just don't think he's healthy right now. So I'm going to. I do think they get this thing, but I can't bet it per se. So give me Carolina at home on the short week to cover the number. If I thought Cam Newton was healthy, I would probably want to bet it, but I don't.
So, Tim, this is tough for you because it has Tampa, your favorite team in football, who you think is power ranked number 1, and your favorite fantasy player, Christian McCaffrey, on both sides. The coin is taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Are you taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I am. And yeah, it's annoying every time the Panthers don't play on Sunday afternoons because every DFS lineup I ever make, Christian McCaffrey is central. And again, last week he should have been central again. He's the best player in fantasy, bar none, in the PPR format. He's number 1, and then there's a gap. That's how good he is. But now let's look at the game. I think Carolina had to play a more physical game than Tampa did just a few days ago. Tampa and San Francisco game was just a bunch of stupidity from 2 teams that were very sloppy and did not look well prepared. The Panthers did a decent enough job against a pretty good Rams team, but they just didn't hold up. And of course, they turned the ball over early, and they sort of got themselves out of what they wanted to do. I'm not, I picked Tampa to win the division at the start of the year. It's week 1. Week 1's just passed. I'm not going to make bold predictions of changing my opinions. I'm going to stick with what I thought. I would have liked Tampa in this game 6 days ago. I'm going to like them now. So I'm going to take the points in the Buccaneers.
Can we be concerned? Because I agreed with a lot of Tim's sentiment for coach, quarterback, a lot of things that can happen. And granted, it is a week. But it is very feasible that even the great Bruce Arians cannot fix this guy.
He's just going to be inconsistent. Like, he might come out and throw 5 touchdowns in this game. So I think
his best weapon was sick and did not play at 100% on Sunday.
So that's your excuse now.
Well, no, that did kill me,
But
and you couldn't not start him or bench him in formats once you read that he was playing.
The biggest thing in this game is, can Tampa Bay's offensive line hold up to the pass rush that Carolina's going to bring? Because they could not against the 49ers. And I guess the 2 big things on the defense for Carolina is going to be, we know that their back end isn't great, but they weren't completely exploited against the Rams, which I found surprising because the Rams were just able to run the ball down their throats the entire time. But Tampa Bay can't run the ball, so I suppose
Ronald Jones looked perfectly fine, thank you kindly.
Not really, he didn't.
He did.
He didn't. He had one somewhat large run, and that accounted for basically all the rushing yards for the day.
All right, he's the worst player ever. You should cut him. Okay.
You should. Well, you shouldn't own him to begin with, so I don't know how you'd be cutting him. Do you own Ronald Jones?
I think I do in at least one league.
Well, Ronald Jones is available in our keeper league. It's shocking that you don't have him if he's so fucking good, Tim.
Yeah, I could use him. I think I'm going to have a tough week this week. So
tough.
Jameis,
but if the pass rush can get to Jameis, it disrupts the entire thing. Maybe everyone is going to be a little bit healthier in this spot, but I do worry that Godwin gets downfield. I do worry that Evans gets downfield. I kind of like Cameron Braid's first touchdown in this game because Cameron Braid had 2 touchdowns taken off the board due to holding penalties.
I would like to see Tampa keep it close, but
I'm going to go Carolina. I'll take the home team less than a touchdown. I just was not impressed. And I can't tell if the Tampa defense is like better than it was or the 49ers are just abysmal on offense.
Well, there's a lot of that as we try to figure out what is going to happen week 2. I think I saw yesterday that Jameis is like the fastest quarterback ever to 100 turnovers.
Really? Josh Allen is hot on his heels.
He might get there.
Especially when they go 16-0.
Circle the wagons.
The Bills. All right, let's get to Sunday. Arizona screwed me, cost me a shit ton of cash, Jeffrey. On Sunday, I was not too impressed with that. They're at Baltimore. Baltimore is favored by 13.5 points. The over-under is 47 here. What's more realistic, Tim? That Baltimore's offense looks as good as it did on Sunday against Miami, or Kyler Murray is able to go into Baltimore against that defense and look like he did in the 4th quarter against Detroit?
I think the latter, if I had to choose, because Baltimore played so much better than I think that's as good as they could possibly play. I should take a double take with this line because I think this line is just way too high. Arizona, once they sort of got their sea legs under them in the second half, played fine. I mean, it helped that Really, it was Detroit that cost you money this week, not Arizona. Detroit gave that away and then didn't play to win in overtime at all. Like, your anger should be completely focused on the Lions. But Arizona, was there to take advantage, and it did seem like Murray got more comfortable as the game went on and played fine. 13.5 is just way too many points at this stage in the game. I mean, I would pick the Ravens to win, sure, but like at a minus 13.5, this is a game that a lot of people are going to take as a suicide pick, and I'm not going there. I'm going to take the Cardinals and the points.
I am with him.
So is the coin.
It is way too many points to me. I would have this thing closer to 10.
Yeah, I thought like
I don't really cross. I mean, once I get over 10, I don't really cross any key numbers getting to 13.5. But I really do like Arizona. My big concern here, for me, historically, the numbers are not kind of teams that play overtime the following week, and also having to travel. They played a full 5 quarters, well, like 10 minutes, but.
Yeah. And they're going from, I guess, is Phoenix currently in Mountain Time or West Coast time?
It's daylight, but they don't leave. So Mountain Standard Time is Pacific.
They don't have daylight savings time.
No,
yeah,
they don't.
So it's another hour then going to the East Coast.
The thing with Baltimore is,
I'll just throw this out here. Baltimore beats up on bad teams and kicks the absolute shit out of them.
And also, in a month from now, if 3 other teams do this to Miami or come close to it, we might laugh at what happened in week 1. It might not feel nearly as special. And we all know, even watching, it's like Miami, and even talking about Miami.
No, we all picked Miami
in
week 1.
We all liked Miami. But it wasn't a bettable thing. But I thought, I did note that my concern is that that locker room talk of, if you get rid of Tunsil, we revolt. That was a concern. But give me Arizona. It's too many points. To me, Baltimore hasn't answered questions for me yet.
No, they haven't answered any questions for me yet, but I'm kind of going to be like Tim here and go into my preconceived notion heading into the season that Arizona is not good. And you're right, it's the Lions I should blame. It's Matt Patricia's game plan that I should blame. They had the game sealed and then called a timeout before the play, which is just mind-boggling. And
I've done that when I was 14, reaching over to my buddy's Xbox controller and hit the timeout button because I was out of them and I needed one.
Is that the better move, or is it like when you used to play Blitz, looking at the guy's screen to see what plays he was picking?
Oh yeah, sure.
And speaking of Baltimore, Tim, you nailed it on the head. Lamar Jackson actually had a blitz play for a touchdown in that game against Miami. He just backpedaled for 25 yards and threw it to Boykin in the end zone. It was wide open.
I've said before that it could very well be that Lamar Jackson is the best of these sophomore quarterbacks, and I think we're seeing. Here's the other part of it. I'm excited for him. I think he was
I greatly respect Warren Sharp, and Warren's been, before the week was long on, that he'll be fine and they'll be fine, and that team is fine, and he's going to be a good quarterback. That being said, there is a blueprint, and the Dolphins can't execute it.
Well, this offense is also completely different than the offense. This offense is now built for him. They have the right pieces in place.
Yes.
It's that he inherited Flacco's offense, and they basically had to
Flacco's skill position tight ends that go 8 yards and run a button.
And they basically had to cobble together Navy's offense last year.
It worked.
And it worked until it didn't work. So I'm just curious to see against a real defense. I just don't think this is a real defense. Arizona loaded up the box with 8 guys last week and said, I dare you to pass Matt Stafford. And what did Matt Patricia do? He's like, you know what we should do? Run up the middle for 3 yards every time.
Well, I don't think Matt Patricia has any.
I got to watch because the overtime ran late, so I was kind of preoccupied. So I didn't really see it all unfold. But it was incredibly it was very unappealing.
They were up by 18.
I was watching for you. I was cheering, because I knew what you had, and the day was over. The Chargers just had a walk-off. I was feeling good. And that was embarrassing. That's a loss for the Lions.
Yeah, it has to be. Well, they've given away a win. A win that was they had to be. I would get. I didn't look at the win probability, but they must have been a 99-point favorite to win at some point in the fourth quarter.
If you're holding a Lions over ticket,
but you're going to take Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm taking Baltimore minus
just based on the.
I think Arizona's bad,
and
I think
Baltimore crushes
beats bad teams.
Good. We need to get one back on you here.
We're already like in the week 16 strategy of swerving your pick.
Buffalo at the Giants. This opened at 3. It got bet down to 2.5, and now it's 1.5. We got a home dog situation. The Giants are underdogs by 1.5 points at home. They did not look great. And Sterling Shepard may not play in this game either due to concussion issues. Golden Tate obviously still suspended. But I just look at, I think Buffalo has a better defense than Dallas does. And maybe they won't be able just to attack the quarterback as much in week 1 as in week 2. But I think they're just going to pester Eli to the point like we might get another Daniel Jones signing here. The problem is, can the Bills run away with the game and score enough points? That's always the issue if you're now asking them to actually cover a number instead of just be close and try to pull it out at the end. But I like Buffalo here. I think their defense is at least top 5. It could be the best defense in football.
This thing opened high.
It opened at 3.
Yeah, and I was like, whoa, I will take the... Now, and I think the Charger game will get down here also, which opened at 3, and I think we'll slowly sort of do what the Carolina Ram game did last week, kind of maybe like the one we're talking about right now. So give me Buffalo. At 3, I really like the Giants, but I'm with you. I think in the end, the Giants are just really bad, and the Bills will make a game-changing play.
Josh Allen turned the ball over 4 times, and they still won. And they almost gained 400 yards of offense. Like, the offense looked really good until he turned the ball over. And then they would just get the ball back, and then they weren't his fault, but like they moved the ball down the field, then they turned it over. They'd move the ball down the field, then they'd turn it over. The moment they stopped turning it over, they put up points.
I think I actually almost will give a full point of value to this. And a model maker odds guy might tell you, Fienberg, you are the insane person of this panel, not Tim, to say what
one would ever say that.
Say what I'm about to say. I think it's worth a full freaking point that they get to go into the exact same hotel, dressing room, everything they were in last week to play the Giants this week. Everything. Agreed. I think that's worth a point. I swear to freaking God. I don't even know if I just put a New York accent on it too, but I swear that's valuable to me. I'm a psychology minor that didn't, trust me, didn't earn it, but I got it. And that is where my amateur psychology degree is telling me.
Your amateur psychology minor.
Yeah.
Is
telling me that that's worth it. And give me the Bills, 2-0. Let's circle these wagons.
Yeah, let's go Buffalo. I think we might be a bit too high on Buffalo here. That's never a good thing.
That was the 3. When it opened at 3, it's like, oh my God, people think the Bills are like some hero team. And I know I could just be overreacting to 1.5. But 1.5 points. I think the Bills are the better team. I just think Eli puts it on the carpet or something.
Yeah, there's just going to be so much. There's going to be so much pressure on him. They're going to be down his throat the entire time, and at all 3 levels of their defense, they're really, really good.
They are really good, and they are really well coached. It is again, we spoke about it in every offseason primer show we did, and even in the preview for last week's game. They took the complete opposite approach of free agency than the Jets. They built that team. They just depth that they trusted for them and their system. Not a single diva, and
it's funny because they tried to get Antonio Brown.
Well, that is. I mean, the magic and all of that.
But like, think about how much like Randall Cobb killed the Giants last week, just extending a lot of plays, extending drives. Like Cole Beasley's going to do that to him. John Brown has a real rapport with Josh Allen. Like Tim, I assume you watched every play of that game since they were playing the Jets. Like, it's hard to just. I assume you're taking the Bills here as well because the coin is taking the Giants.
The Bills are on like a Super 7 list. That's for sure. I don't have a whole lot to add other than I think the Bills are significantly better than the Giants. I think there's value on the Bills.
Well, here's here to put more air in the Bills' tires because it takes away from the
Jets accomplish. Then the Bengals are the week after for the Bills. Like the Bills have
Let's pump the brakes here. You do not. Shut up, Tim. You don't need Bills Mafia coming to your house to slit your throat. That's all I'm telling you.
Them winning that game. You were talking about the live math on Arizona.
No. You know what, Paul? Are you going to chime in and tell the story, please?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what story you're talking about.
I was
just going to tell Tim to fuck off and leave my Bills alone.
No, he's going to say about the live odds on Arizona. Remember when I was talking about the live odds on Buffalo?
Yeah, they were plus 675 in the third quarter. They were starting that one drive, and we're like, that's where the value is. That's where you should do it, and we didn't do it.
And then we didn't do it.
And even, again, I'll name drop him every time, but because he's genius. But Warren Sharp pointed out, like, historically, the 4 turnovers to 0, like all the metrics. I think that game's been won one time in the history or in like
And it was
modern
really 5
times.
turnovers because that safety is a turnover for all intents and purposes.
You're not wrong.
Well, here's the thing then. Are we overrating the Bills' defense, or is Safe Space Sam worse than Eli? Is he is he the worst quarterback in the NFL? I think that's the real question.
Bill's defense was top notch and very impressive.
And they are going to wreak havoc in the AFC defensively. They're a team not to be trifled with.
I liked how Singletary looked on the ground. That's the one thing that they weren't really doing in the first half. They just decided not to run the ball.
Yep.
And as soon as they started doing it, and say, not that Singletary had a bunch, like Gore looked horrible. But
well, once Mosley got hurt, that changed the whole complexion of their offensive approach.
Maybe. I mean, it could have just been halftime. They came out with a new game plan, but it's not like when Mosley was he had the pick 6, which again wasn't Josh
Allen. He made some great tackles. Mosley played great.
He played all right, but it's not like the Bills weren't moving the ball when he was in the game.
No, they weren't scoring. And then he left and they did score. And they managed that comeback without getting a single turnover of their own, which, you know what? I don't want to talk about that anymore. It makes me feel sad. The Bills are the way to play the game. I think they're going to win.
I couldn't even imagine that it happened. I mean, just for personally, sometimes when those 4 o'clock games are ending and the Chargers go off at 4:05, it is more important for me to stay on my own personal schedule than to see the end of other people's games. So I'm just getting myself on schedule, and I come back in, and you lost the freaking game.
Yeah, thanks. I know. I was sick. I'm still sick. It still makes me feel sick physically inside. I've been thinking about it nonstop for the last 2 days. Like, I can't stop thinking about it. Just we're setting a game on fire that should have been ours.
Well, I told you, Josh Allen better than Sam Darnold. It's very clear. I think week 1 proved that.
The throw he made to win the game was a fantastic throw. Josh Allen's the real deal too. I have nothing bad to say. I got nothing bad to say about the Bills at all. They're a darn good team.
You didn't need to say 2 along with that. One of them's good. One of them might be the worst quarterback in the history of football.
Well, he didn't throw multiple pick sixes and destroy his credibility this week at least. But we'll save that for another time. Let's move on.
Question from the audience, sir.
Are we gonna just dance around what happened when Sam Darnold was trying to throw a Hail Mary at the end of the game? He had to check down 6 yards. Like, what was that, Tim? Like that, you can't feel good. If your team's gonna be coming from behind, you're gonna feel like you have no chance. I knew it was 70 yards to the end zone, but he threw it 6 yards to Jamison Crowder, who was gonna Music City Miracle the thing back. You should be really, really concerned about that.
It was design hook and lateral. Listen, Gase called a really bad game, so why should we be surprised that in his last play call he called a bad one? That guy's on thin ice. But let's move on.
Oh, he's on thin ice. He's already his job security. You're already on watched him?
Yeah, but he doesn't want to overreact to Tampa being bad.
No,
I don't want to overreact to anything.
How about they get destroyed by the Browns on Monday night? Are you gonna have the fire Gase going?
He will, guaranteed. If they got destroyed on Monday, he will be demanding the Johnsons make a move.
I would expect Gase to just tender his resignation.
Like John Bolton?
Yes.
Dallas at Washington. Washington, the kings of week 1, Geoff. They jumped out to the big lead. I had some guy coming at me like, no, you said Washington was going to be the worst team in football. That's how Twitter people sound to me, at least. They all sound like they're a bit slow.
I said that. I admit I said that. I said they'd be the worst team in football.
Yeah, but he sent that to me after the first quarter when they were up 17-0. He deleted the tweet after the third quarter.
Sometimes
so
that
I couldn't even
happens.
respond to him. So you might want to, see till the end of the game before you start tweeting out your hot takes. But then they came back. I had them to cover. What did they do? Trey Quinn, what a hero. Garbage time touchdown, exactly how I hoped the game would end up going. It was too many points for a divisional foe. Yeah. And now we get it again. It's 4.5.
Another example of me being on the wrong side of everything last week.
Yeah, me too. Me too.
Everything that turned in the last 2 minutes.
Washington plus 4.5 at home. 46.5 is the over-under here. No Darius Geis. Don Geis already out, Tim. That's not good news. He's up a couple weeks, but
it's okay. It's going to be an AP week.
You think it is going to be an AP week? The people need to know.
I actually do. I do actually think it's going to be an AP week. I think he's rested. He is got a chip on his shoulder now. If there was ever a game to play him, this is it. Dallas has got a lovely defense, but Barkley was able to take advantage. Now, of course, Barkley is one of the best running backs in the game, and Adrian Peterson is quite old. But my point stands that I think Washington will be able to move the ball somewhat on him. and I like the Skins to cover the number.
Coin likes Dallas. Tim likes Washington. I'm kind of torn here. Like, I guess this depends on how good you think Dallas is. Because was Dallas a bit smoke and mirrors unleashing this new playbook? Dak looks absolutely fantastic. They're actually rolling him out for the first time in 3 years, utilizing his skill set to the maximum way possible, at least for a benefit of Dallas. But it was against the Giants. I think the Skins might actually be better than the Giants. I don't know, but like, it's almost like
they hung with Philadelphia the whole game in Philadelphia
until they gave up like 30 straight points.
But you know what? They still managed to score a bunch of points, and they hung around with a divisional opponent. Philly and Dallas are equivalent. I think Philly's slightly better than Dallas. Washington's at home. I just think it's a spot for a home dog here.
It could very well could be. Like I'm kind of wishy-washy on it, but I'm going to take Dallas in this spot. I just think that they're better. I think they're one of the better. It could be a top 5 team in the NFL right now in the way that they play. Like when we talk about how Washington got the points, like it took a Vernon Davis leap over a guy and then 3 people like legitimately miss him on the sidelines and he runs it in for 50 yards.
Oh yeah, I know. I got lots of people saying you said VD was done.
This is
and there were just big plays. And I think that Philly, because their back end secondary being god awful, is far more susceptible to really giant plays, which the Skins need more so than Dallas is.
This is an interesting one because obviously when the Cowboys do what they do, the machine starts to turn, and Cowboy fan like lets us know how amazing they are and doesn't acknowledge who they played. So Monday morning, they were a very hyped team. The spread opened high. People bet Dallas, but the spread moved the other way.
Do we know people bet Dallas?
Yeah.
Everybody always bets Dallas, especially when they're...
That's actually...
The morning after, Dallas looked freaking amazing. So I'm going to say this is some early reverse line movement. I don't know. This is a plugger nose. I don't want to bet this. I'll take Washington, but I do very much agree with you, Pat. We could be seeing Dallas being as good as some of the signs point and things that could carry over to when they play better teams.
So like Jones.
No, I'm saying, but they do things that can carry over for when they play better teams. And it was talked about all off season. Their early season schedule is easy. That was sort of like Jerry's radio tour. Was like, I don't know, we could be 5-1 or not 5-1. He's like, yeah, we can like get off to a hot start, and Zeke can come back, mid a quarter in, halfway in, and he'll be fresh for when we really need him. But Jerry pretty much said verbatim, I trust the team I've built to get us going, and we'll go from there. And now Zeke's here, so they could be as good as everyone thinks, but
like
Washington's home opener, I'll take it.
4.5 just doesn't seem like a lot to cover here. Like 20-14. Dallas, like that's a cover.
That's not again, yeah.
So I'm going to take Dallas minus 4.5. Me and the coin will both be taking Dallas. Just Jones gets healthier on defense. He'll play more snaps. Zeke will play the entire game because it won't be such a gigantic blowout, and Zeke will look good again. And there's just a lot of weapons on this offense. I like. Maybe I know we kind of made a joke of it that like Kellen Moore taking over. Like, oh, Kellen Moore, like. Who cares about Kellen Moore? But maybe just the almost sort of like the Jacksonville situation going from Blake Bortles to anyone is such a huge upgrade that maybe that was just the case in Dallas.
No, I think out of the gate, the results are showing, but I think it shows a lot of progress from the Cowboys and Jones just to make that higher and sort of see where the game is going, see the teams that are having those great successes from a play calling perspective. The Eagles, the Chiefs.
The Eagles went for it 4th and 1 from like
early
the
when they needed those first points. Right? I think
it.
you got to just but early they went for when they were getting shut out. I thought they should have just taken some points. The Bears, what Matt Nagy did last year. Going back to my earlier point, so very I wouldn't say ahead of the curve, but they are not sleeping on the trends and their skill sets, and it seems like a perfect marriage. Kellen Moore from, Boise, and they know how to call interesting plays. And I'm sure he has that Chris Peterson's ear.
Mm-hmm. So let's go to Indianapolis and Tennessee. Tennessee's favored by 3. 45 is the game total here. This feels like a potential Derrick Henry monster game. After seeing how badly like Eckler slashed through the Colts run defense, like there was no run defense in that game whatsoever on either side of the ball. That this sets up really well for Derrick Henry. unfortunately, the Colts may not accumulate almost 200 yards and penalties. That could throw a real wrench into what Mariota-san is up to. So I like Indy to cover the 3. This feels like Tennessee wins by 3. This ends up being a push, but I still trust the infrastructure a little bit more with Indianapolis. I didn't think they looked bad last week. They didn't look great, but they were able to get Mac going on the ground. Brissett didn't do anything like crazy, and when he had to come through, he did come through. And you're lucky Ebron didn't make that catch in the end zone. That could have been the difference. The touchdown that they just took off the board.
Yeah, but the Colts defensive back made one of the plays of the year to also keep a touchdown off the board.
Whatever. I will not. Do you know what I will not do? Is apologize for any break that my franchise gets in between the lines. Ever.
Okay.
Ever.
I mean, he didn't catch it. It just
Ever.
He should have caught it.
We deserve 150 more of those this season.
I don't know about that.
You have a punter who knows how to place kick.
I can't freaking wait. We'll get to my game. This is the first game of the week that I'm considering betting. Not just making a pick here. And it would be on Indianapolis. The rosters is fantastic. I think there could be a lot of smoke up Tennessee's arse right now.
Like every time Tennessee got stalled, penalty. Obviously, Tim already alluded to the Baker picks, but they were down by a bunch in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, no, Cleveland played a terribly undisciplined game. They took way too many penalties. And Indianapolis played fantastically against the team I picked to go to the Super Bowl. This is in the short list for Superlock. It's also going to be the first leg of a 4-team free money 7-point teaser. We're going to take Indianapolis up to 10 here.
Indianapolis plus 10. I actually don't mind that a lot. I like that, Tim. I like that one. Although, not a lot of success after last week.
I also, don't forget, this does go against the overtime thing, too.
This does.
But I also do like the Colts.
Are we potentially underrating Tennessee?
No, they are what they are. They will win their games 19-17. That one just got out of hand.
If they win this one convincingly, then I can answer that question in the affirmative. But right now, I think it's too early to say.
Like, I still don't understand what their offensive game plan is. Like, Mariota ended up throwing for like 245 yards, whatever it was. But one was like an A.J. Brown, like, busted a tackle, went for a whole bunch of yards. The other one was a screen pass to Derrick Henry that he took for 75 yards. Like,
no, it's fair. I mean, listen, Tennessee beat up on a bad team. That we didn't learn a whole lot about the Titans this week, other than they were able to capitalize on a sloppy and
they have a Thursday week 3 road game.
Tennessee?
Yeah.
Was it Tennessee at who?
Jacksonville.
That's a loss.
It's a look ahead.
I'm just saying. Listen, I don't want. I mean, it's too early to really get into it, but we've seen historically the teams that play on Thursday sometimes don't fare the best on Sunday. Both teams that played on
This is a division game, though.
Yes.
So it's hard to overlook when you're playing.
It's a division game. They're being told how great they are, and the fact that they might think they have the big leg up now because of no quarterback. But I agree with you, as we've spoken about it on the preview shows. I can't wax poetic about when the Chargers are healthy, about what Pro Football Focus thinks about my roster, and then ignore it when it talks about how good the Colts roster is.
Why? Tim does that all the time.
My point, no, the Colts roster is, I mean, this is a secondary. Most of us hosting and watching couldn't name a guy in it. I know Hooker made that great play, first-round pick from Ohio State. They gave up 13 or 14 passing touchdowns last year. Like this, every single unit has extreme stability that most teams really don't have in half their units. And it really is unfortunate what happened with the quarterback. I do think for everything that happened there, they're lucky to have a guy like Brissett. Granted, I don't know. He hit his targets, but I don't know. He didn't really make any.
He's not great, but he's not bad at the same time.
But he also understands that Hilton is his best guy and to feed him the ball, which is encouraging to see. And plus, Frank Reich is a smart coach.
Great coach.
I think they'll be fine. I think they win the game, and I think they cover the number.
So all four of us, coin included.
I will probably have this on a teaser too. That's Titans beating 2 teams in a row by more than 10 points.
Yeah, and like they get to 42 points, but they don't really do anything to get to 42 points, which maybe is scary. That if they actually play really well on offense, then all of a sudden they can put up even more points.
You're just also banking on. I need to be consistent in my take that Mariota isn't a top like 18 guy in this league. And
Mariota
sucks.
isn't. He just took advantage. His team took advantage of it. So the same way the Ravens took advantage of a bad Dolphins team, the Titans took advantage of a similarly bad team. Like, it's going to happen.
I'm glad we didn't touch that game, the Browns, in that game last week, because we all picked the Browns to win and to cover the 5.5.
You know,
But, like,
that-
even in our discussion was just like, yeah, week 1 is probably not the time to start like pounding the Browns, especially against a team that's fundamentally sound like the Titans are.
That's a real stubborn move by me.
But
The excitement of the show and Tim's like anti-Baker take made me like rah the Browns. When all offseason,
Tim picked the Browns.
when all offseason I liked the other side in that stupid game.
All right, round of Colts against Tennessee. Jacksonville and Houston.
This could be my super lock.
Over under games Deshaun Watson makes it through this season.
Cool.
Because if it's anything like last night, he's playing like 4 games before he might die on the field. Houston's favored by 8.5 at home. Tim, your new favorite player. Don't get tired from eating all them good plays. Minshew walk. He's coming for you.
Very efficient. Listen, Washington State was a nothing franchise. He goes there, he plays well. They are a ranked team. Like, he actually can play the game a little bit. Houston just came off a short week in overtime, or not overtime, sorry, but it felt like overtime because the game went so long. But like a taxing, physical, vicious game against the Saints. Everything went wrong for Jacksonville last week. Everything under the sun. You name it, it went wrong, and they still only lost the game by 14 against one of the best teams in the NFL. Like, when everything goes wrong and you only lose by 14 against the best team, one of the best teams, like, you can, derive some positives from it. This line is crazy large. It's way too large. We're teasing this up. This is the second end. We're going to take this to 15.5. We get through a couple of key numbers that way. I don't think the Texans on the short week are going to win this game by over 2 touchdowns. I think that's asking a lot, actually, of the team. Watson's back is certainly still sore. I mean, anyone who's had back issues knows those things don't go away in 2 or 3 days. You could see him retching at it a couple of times last night, despite just playing marvelously and clearly being the best player on the field last night. I mean, we can put that question to rest. He's a fantastic player. But I expect the Jaguars to take advantage of what they have in the quarterback, to make smart, efficient throws. I think Fournette has a big role in this game. He's going to shorten the clock, and I think it's going to be very difficult for the Texans to dominate. So I'm going to take the Jags.
I'm going to take the Jags too. I think the Jags might win this game outright. I don't
Possible.
know. I don't necessarily know what the drop off is between Foles to Minshew, but he was accurate enough. I mean, coming from Mike Leach's system, of course, he can. Like, all those guys complete like 75% of their passes. They're not asking him to make incredibly difficult throws. I think Dede should eat in this game as well, just like we saw basically everyone in the slot do. It was weird, like watching the game. It never seemed. I don't understand how the Saints ever didn't score going down the field, because every time they threw it, they seemed like they got 17 yards.
Well,
It was
because the
weird.
first half they were completely out of sorts. That's why.
But even in the first half, it's like, oh, just throw it to Michael Thomas. For some reason, he's open by 5 yards every time.
Yeah, but they got bogged down in the red zone. Breeze made a terrible mistake. They did not look crisp in the red zone. And then, the idiocy of the coaching staff for the Texans took over in the second half on the defensive side.
It's funny that they, on the extra point, they got the penalty. They have to redo it. They would have been better off missing it for their
Yeah, because
prospects
the
in that
Colts
game.
wouldn't have
Yeah,
been
then the
pressing.
Colts
Yeah.
wouldn't have, yeah.
And
Sure.
the Saints, wouldn't have stormed down the field and tried to get the field goal. It's
Bill
funny.
O'Brien should have called a timeout again and then challenged.
So the
Oh,
whole,
yeah, Bill O'Brien, huh? Making solid decisions?
So the
He's the worst coach in the league by
No,
so
no,
much.
no. Matt Patricia is the worst coach in the league.
No, see, Matt Patricia is not good at his job. Bill O'Brien is, without a doubt, the worst NFL coach in the league. And it's so many things. He sabotages that team in every way imaginable. I don't know
He's
what
not
people
wrong.
see in him, why he still has a job.
Because they keep winning every single year. That's why he
they
gets to keep
lost
it.
last night because of him. And
No,
because
I understand that, but if he was going like 6-10 2 years in a row, he would be fired. But they just keep churning out winning records, so you got to keep the guy around. At least give some credit to like Tennessee. Like, even when they got to like a holding pattern, despite being okay, they ended up making a move and like hiring someone better.
I mean, Tennessee's never seemed to pick like top 3 because they'll win too many games.
Yeah, they'll be 9-7 or 7-9 every single year. That's not what you want, obviously.
No, but you ask, a fan of certain franchises, and they might, they take that.
Now, you only take the 9-7 year if you're like abysmal for 10 straight years. Like, oh my God, we had it.
No,
Like when the Bills
yes.
made the playoffs, knowing that they weren't going to do
and
anything.
I
in the playoffs.
agree.
There's a
And
couple teams
in
on
all
Lake Erie that would be desperate for a winning
sports, it seems like everyone is cluing in that winning 3 games is better for you than winning 9.
Yeah,
if
but-
9 doesn't get you the
Yeah, if 9, it's sort of like the Orlando Magic this year. They made the playoffs after being terrible for 5 straight years. That's the fans can get excited about that because we had a good year.
I will say,
but if they end up being the 7 seed next year, that's not good news for the franchise.
But I do acknowledge in sports like hockey and basketball, in my opinion, on the weaker sides of the brackets, like what we consider maybe the Easts in both, making the playoffs in teams that allow over 50% of the teams into the playoffs doesn't mean you're doing anything right either.
No, it's far more detrimental in basketball than hockey because if you make the playoffs in hockey, you could win the Stanley Cup.
Oh, yeah, you saw it this year. Yeah, no, hockey is nuts. Yeah, you see it all the time. Although the first round in the NBA has gotten far more entertaining. It's not, Anyway, we'll move on. The entire world is talking exactly how you guys are talking.
Are they? I like.
Yes.
I never try to read anything
okay,
before we.
I
do
just
this.
want to make one point about this game, and it was the one thing I said to Paul today. Never in our lives do we get this game in this situation. And the team with the quarterback who wasn't like the rookie, who wasn't highly touted, who's being thrown in, and the line moves in favor of him.
Yeah. Well,
It always goes the other way.
I think, like you said, short week, injured quarterback.
Bill O'Brien.
If you just want to look at devastating loss in a game, they didn't obviously need to beat the Saints to impact their playoff hopes, but it's a game they had.
Yes. No, they are every team.
They let them off the hook.
Yeah. No, their entire season is on those division games.
And this being one of them.
Yes.
But Jacksonville's defense would have played, I think, a lot better against even a banged up Mahomes, though they were down Tyreek Hill. Why is Miles Jack assaulting a referee?
Yep.
Probably not a good idea.
Not a good thing.
Is he going to play this week?
I believe so. I read that there were no disciplinary anything.
By the way, this came back for me late.
He's got some Tourette's or something.
The only bet that I made on the Monday night games, despite having like Denver to close out like a teaser, which ultimately failed. Teasing through the number, not smart at all. But I bet the over in sacks, Saints and Texans, because you had one guy to an offensive line who's pretty good. It doesn't necessarily mean your offensive line is good. Their offensive line still sucks. And Watson is under duress every single drop back. He got dropped 6 times against the Saints, and he could have been sacked another 5 times.
Yeah.
He's just good at eluding the pressure.
Yep.
And I haven't said I'll say this enough, but I'll say this. I'll take 3-13 every week if it ends with me getting to meet my bookie the way I am. Because when all those chalk went, like not a chalk loss, everything seemed to hit. So despite the shitty record, it was quite profitable. Anyhow, again, every time in my memory, this situation, the line will go the other way against the team having to start the Minshew. There is this world fascination in football people of how spectacular he looked, and I'm not taking that away.
He didn't look spectacular
No,
by
people
any means.
are like
he just wasn't as horrible as I assumed he would.
Sure, and everyone is just so enamored with it. I'm going to say this thing tilts the other way.
Going with Houston, -8.5. It's a lot of points, man.
A lot of
And
points.
The Jags D is better than it looked against Kansas City and Mahomes. It has to be. That's
One
the worst
thing
they're going
I'm
to look all
going to
year.
do this week a lot, and I feel like I've done it 1, 2, 3 times in my opinion, every available scenario. If I think it's a good team that's 0-1, I'm taking them to get off the mat.
That's a smart move.
Carolina, Indy, and now we're here, Houston.
All right, well, how about this next one? The Los Angeles Chargers at the Detroit Lions, 2.5. The Chargers are favored on the road. Game total is 48. Geoff, we always like to lead off with you whenever we're doing some Chargers radio. West Coast team coming east to play in an early game.
We're fantastic at that.
That's not well. I mean, you never play a home game, so that's. I mean, you're in London.
No, but
you're
I'm
in
saying,
London 18 times a
if
year.
you
too.
look at our,
can you let me just do the pre? Go. You know what? Show's yours. Go nuts.
No, I'm just saying we're really good. In the Lynn era, we've not had an issue. We're winning at like 70% of the clip headed east. The only team we lose to is in New England.
So we
I was going
still.
to say the game we went to.
and the playoff game, yeah. But I'm saying those are the ones. And I'm talking maybe more of a ATS thing. You go back to the preview.
I was just going to ask, it's 2.5, sure.
It's going to get lower.
I can't believe that on this show last week, I said that Matt Patricia was the worst coach in football. And then all of a sudden, I put Detroit on the back end of my giant parlay, and that's what ends up costing me $1,000 on a nothing bet, too. That why would I go back to the Lions in this spot? Although, unless I know the world's going to be on the Chargers, but they're just better.
Okay, I see what you're saying. This is kind of an easier, I can go to the window with Phillip. And I know you have your hate for Coach Lynn, but
I just enjoyed when you called him Octavia Spencer.
Okay.
I just want him to go back to being that.
And that's fair. For content is king, that would be maybe better than me claiming he's Denzel Washington.
Well, he does not look like Denzel. He looks like if Denzel Washington ate Denzel Washington.
Okay. I need to just clear something up about him. And I know that I'm not a fan of some of these decisions that you were in person for that have kind of lingered. But with Gus Bradley and Wisenhunt, he truly is just the facilitator of the team. Scheming and all that stuff is not him.
He is the Jose Calderon of the coaching staff. He's just dishing it this way. You
He's
take this.
more
You take this.
of what Herm Edwards is at Arizona State. Probably.
Asleep behind his desk?
No, like the seat.
Like what Tito Gaston used to be as a manager.
Oh, does that mean Anthony Lynn sits on the sidelines like this?
Yes.
No, I'm just saying.
What you're going to do on the first pitch is you're going to swing hard.
Okay, my point is he's a leader. You guys can break down the game. I just got to turn it into some quick Chargers radio. I was even going to have personal correspondence with you about this, but I figured I'll save it for the air. One thing, the overtime thing, this is 2 teams coming off overtime. So that's a sort of counteract. You asked a question in a joking manner that had a lot of seriousness in it when you asked. You asked how many plays would it take for Denzel Perryman to get injured?
And?
He had a snap count of 1 on Sunday.
And look what happened to the run defense.
Can I admit something?
They're actually quite banged up.
It's getting worse.
We've
lost a corner.
Yeah. I saw Melvin Ingram go down. He ended up coming back. He ended up coming back, but
when we put Melvin and Joey on the you can't stop it. You cannot stop it.
Well,
we did it about 5 times, and every time we make something happen, and I think we got to get that up to about 7 to 8 times a game. Just unleash it.
Here's what I don't understand from the other side of the ball. And Tim, maybe you can help me with this one. I think I brought it up on every show that I've done so far this week. The 2 running backs that ran into the most 8-man boxes of the week were Kerryon Johnson and C.J. Anderson. So the Lions saw that all Arizona was doing was just stacking the box, and they have 3 rookies in their secondary, and they've been passing the ball pretty well. And what do they decide to do? Run straight up the gut for nothing every single time. How does that make any sense?
I think your mistake is that you're looking for sense when no sense can be found.
On my side of the things, I am so pleased to see the amount of first down running back passes we pulled off.
That's not a big change, though. Like, that's the Chargers did that pretty well last year.
But no, we're not just running for first down nothing anymore. We're like using our strengths. A couple things.
Can the Chargers stop Detroit's running attack, since they'll do it regardless of what happens? Whether they're up by 30, down by 30, they're running it up the gut.
I have my opinions. I don't think it was as bad as it was statistically. There were some...
Every time they gave Marlon Mack the ball, he was running for like at least 6 yards. There
were some key breakdowns that happened that we got to fix. Vinatieri kicked like a 2017 Charger. And that's part of me I will not apologize. Ty Long. Do you know who this guy is?
Yeah, who are the 5 best kickers of all time? Ty Long, Ty Long, Ty Long, Ty Long, and Ty Long.
Oh my God.
Because he kicks hot fire.
And he punts. I've been wondering why there can't be a guy like this, because the CFL, there's guys that punt and kick. And this guy punted like a dream, made all the kicks. This is what a loser I am. That's what gets me off. We do have issues. I can't deny it. One thing that I did find interesting is our Super Bowl odds, Pat, went from 14-1 to 16-1 with the win. Now, to me, that's got to be the Patriots and the Chiefs just looking like they're going to be what they were, probably,
Well, the
right?
Patriots went from, I think, 7 to 5.
Yeah. So I think anyone who wasn't the Chiefs or the Patriots, even with a win, was like, well, it's like when give me like the golfer who's like 30-1, who's a great golfer, but
But Brooks
Roar-
Koepka's in first place.
But Brooks just shot a 7 under, and it's like, well, it doesn't matter what you are capable of. So I get that. Now we have problems. We have to get our bodies back. Every win we can accumulate until we get our bodies back is an absolute bonus. We have Miami coming up, Houston at home next week. Every game we're favored in, let's find a way to win it, and we'll be fine.
If Melvin Gordon said he was coming back this week, would you tell him to fucking stay at home and play some more Fortnite?
No, because I think, listen, you guys, my opinions are clear. This is a guy that thinks is telling everybody it's sunny, but it's pouring outside. We're seeing things two very different
Are you
worlds.
saying that Melvin Gordon is a MAGA guy?
I don't know what Melvin Gordon is, but I think if he got new representation, it would just expedite things. I don't know what his game is now. I don't understand it.
Right now, it's probably like Boggle because he's sitting at home like playing it with his mom.
No, but I mean, like I'm biased. I have my personal views. I've given them many times. I think most people, though, who aren't even Chargers fans, share my sentiment on the whole thing at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Tim, what do you make of this game?
I think this is a very, very, very dangerous game for the Chargers.
Yeah, it's someone else's home opener in the NFL. It's a dangerous game.
The line is really short. The Lions played very, very badly. We all got to see it because they were the last 5 o'clock game, so the whole world got to see them finish and play terribly. It's a short spread. It smells. It seems like a very, very tough game to take the Lions in. This would be a classic spot where the sharp money will definitely be Lions money. There's no way.
Oh, it's open. This morning it was a 3. It's already at a 2.5, so it's already gone through that. I think it's going to maybe end up where this Bills-Giants game is. I think it's going to keep sort of coming down, like that Carolina game last week versus the Rams, even though it didn't work out for the Sharps that way. I do see the line moving there. At this point, when it comes to the Chargers, because they have some major deficiencies, you could argue, I just like to think that Trent Scott had 3 bad plays, but can play left tackle. I just think we have too many A-plus players that will find a way to make the play. And the NFL, 90% of these games are honestly all decided by about 2 to 3 plays, and we've got the game breakers to pull them off.
So that's why I'm going to pick the Chargers, but I wouldn't put it on a ticket. I wouldn't bet it. I think this
so that's why you're picking the Chargers?
Because I think the talent is just enough to carry them through. But I think it's a very dangerous game. Wouldn't go near it, and the Lions are very live.
Maybe this is just my perception of things too, but all of a sudden, and this can turn on a dime, I understand that, but we are a very comfortable team in these close games that we weren't we're stacking a lot of them. And maybe that's got to go the other way. But we seem to do very well the closer these games have been.
So that's going to make it a round of Chargers for everyone, coin included, because I'm going to take them. Last year, I got myself into the situation where I just kept getting too tricky every single week. I'd look at this game, I'd look at it and be like, the Chargers.
You find a reason.
The Chargers are clearly the better team here, but I'm going to pick Detroit because, like Tim said, and this line does seem super fishy. But even last week, I think that the Rams are a good team. I think that the Chiefs are a good team. I'll just take them to cover the non-existent points they're asking you to cover, and boom, they both hit. I think it's the same situation with the Chargers here. Like, I'm not going to be super stunned if Detroit wins this game, but the Chargers should wreck them, shouldn't they?
I agree with you. The game is in Detroit. I'll put this out there. If a stranger wants to drive me to and home from the game who lives in the Toronto area, slide in one of my DMs.
In Detroit. We'll start a GoFundMe. We'll get you a
I don't need anyone's. I don't need other people's charity to get to a football game.
Must be nice.
No,
you obviously don't host a podcast. You're just a guest on a podcast with your real life monies.
No, listen, I would accept it, but I'm just saying. Although my wife gets really creeped out when I throw out these ideas, like maybe I'll find an internet stranger to take me.
You haven't watched season 2 of Mindhunters, have you?
No.
Yeah, or Mindhunter. Mindhunters is a movie with Patrick Stewart from the mid-90s where he runs a boarding school and gets outsmarted by a very savvy kid.
But I will say with 2 kids now, Pat, if my was you could go to Detroit.
You would?
No, I think I would just rather 8 hours with my buddies
watching
here than than literal. The in-game experience at this point seems like the last place on earth I want to be.
I
I
can't.
don't know. Dignity Health Park would be a fun place to watch a game, I bet.
I've been there, and it was once I was in my seat. It's in a beautiful, intimate setting.
Where at the Carson Stadium?
Yeah,
I've been to. I can count the number of NFL games that I've been to like on one hand.
you're happy to never go back.
I'm happy
to,
to
one,
never
right?
go to an NFL game again. It's
Yeah.
it's brutal, man. I care about all the games that
I
are
will
going
also
on for
say
one
the
thing.
way that we were integrated into the NFL is different than probably a lot of people who live with their teams. In that our Sunday NFL experience was always just
All the
watching
games,
games
yeah.
and all of them. It was like, so you understand that other people, their Sunday experience was going to the games, tailgating with family and friends, having an amazing time,
Sure.
and looking at scoreboards.
Yeah, and,
Like that-
and
that-
growing up in a city without a football team and not actually having a team that I root for specifically is that I'm more interested in both my fantasy team, who I'm gambling on, and I just enjoy watching a lot of football games. Like if the game, I can't imagine being at an NFL. Like I've been to one that just if you go to a game and the game sucks. I don't know. What do you do then? Then you're just stuck there. At least I can turn the channel at home or put it on the little TV.
And I'm also so fragile that I don't want to. If I go to a game and the Chargers lose, I just need my pillow. I gotta need a 5-hour travel home.
The most fun I've had going to a game was going tailgating. I was with Tim and our other friend Tim. We went to Orchard Park for a Buffalo game, and it was
Listen.
great. And the game was horrible. It was super cold, but it was fun.
And I have no problem. Maybe I would rather go to Orchard Park to see a Bills. Like that is a different experience whatsoever than almost go to see a Charger game, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, like Tim, when you went to go see the Dolphins, how was Hard Rock Stadium?
Beautiful, but it wasn't a real big football atmosphere. It was sort of more of a casual, sort of hanging out. It's hot and sunny. Let's go see the Dolphins play sort of game. It wasn't intense in the way that the Bills game was far more intense. I'm not a big fan of going to games either, unless it's like the Super Bowl and my team is there. And then I would crawl over broken glass to be in the stadium.
I wonder if this just makes us old man takes too. Because I remember, like, as a kid, always wanted to go to games, and my dad just being like, "It's so much better at home."
Maybe. I think, like, as like a child, I think it's an old man take. 'Cause I don't think there's a whole bunch of, like, 23-year-olds who are, like, non-affiliated being like, you know what, I want to go to an NFL game this weekend. You might have a better chance of finding them watching. Now, you wouldn't have a better chance of finding them watching baseball on TV. That would be impossible. No one under the age of 98 watches baseball.
No, they're all watching the Fortnite.
I'm convinced you don't even know what Fortnite is, despite talking
All
about
that
it
League
a
of
lot.
League stuff. I know what it is.
So you know about Fortnite,
Are you
or you know
doing-
about League of Leagues?
Are you starting a cameo?
It's
account?
AKA League of Legends.
Oh, right. Sorry, League of Legends. I'm sorry.
So you know a lot about it.
Are you doing cameo? Is that true?
I don't even know what that is. I know that there was a Dodge Cameo truck once upon a time. I honestly have no idea what Cameo is. Someone sent the link and I didn't even click on it. I have no idea what it is.
Minnesota at Green Bay. I think the Vikings might be the most reverse curse team in all of the league.
They're trash.
They are 3-point dogs on the road at Green Bay. 44 is the over-under. I kind of like the under in this game because I think both these defenses are pretty good. I'm not sure if the Packers' offense is any good. They can't block. That's a problem. Someone actually said, has Anthony Barr been reverse cursed into leading the league in sacks this year?
I love
That would not surprise me. That probably has a better chance than Tim's Jameis's MVP idea at this point. I'm taking the Vikings here on the road. I think they win this game outright. I really liked what I saw from their defense. And maybe Atlanta's just not good, or maybe it was a bad spot for them. Either way, there's no real weak links on this defense. Yes, their offensive line isn't good, but I don't know if Green Bay is the team to really take advantage of that. I think that they're much better on the back end than they are up front. And Dalvin Cook looked healthy, and he looked good. He looked real and fantastic, Geoff.
I like the Packers. It could be my super lock.
Yeah, like you're giving me Rodgers versus Cousins, and it's only a 3-point spread
Yeah.
with the Packers at home. This is
They
silly.
have the extra time.
silly.
I think the Packers defense with Coach Pettin and looking at that personnel seems far more attractive. I think the Packers get this one. And
I
it,
agree.
it opened at 2.5. And I wish it was almost the first question I asked when we walked in. What was a Packer spread on our page? And the 3's kind of a big deal, but I'm not gonna walk off it. It might be my super lock, but it is a game that I will probably bet.
Well, it looks like I'm going to get a game on you, Tim, and the coin in this one with the Vikings.
Well, we need one on you, so it works out well.
Yeah, I'm delighted to hear it.
I do think last week was a spot for Minnesota. I think the book with that 4, it was such a take Atlanta bait job line. I can pat myself on the back because it's the only game on Sunday I got right. Were those Vikings? Oh my God, what an embarrassment! I'm gonna have to shake that off.
Do we want to talk more about this game? I'm actually excited to watch this game.
Yeah, but I don't have much to say. I mean, it's 2 pretty reasonable teams, but the Packers have a better quarterback.
It is my
Yeah.
favorite game of Sunday that doesn't involve my own team. Like, yeah, from an entertainment league sort of outlook.
Mm-hmm.
No, not me. I got an old AFC rivalry I'm more fired up about on Sunday.
He's big on Oakland this week, outright beating the Chiefs, but we'll get to that in a second.
See, when we get there, I'll make that call.
New England at Miami. This game opened at 15.5. It is now 18.5.
Yeah, but that's all steam. Like, those numbers don't.
Pinnacle is taking it off the board.
Really?
And I don't even know if I was allowed to say
Yeah,
the
you
name.
say what you say.
But they are sort of known as a
Sharp book.
a sharp book that people follow. And someone slid in my DM saying that they have friends over there that like they don't know what to do.
Does
with this
anyone
game.
know what to do?
There's not a number that they've put out there that anyone touches Miami with. It feels like it's one of those collegiate games that they just leave off the board.
Like, I don't know if there's more action on Miami if you set this at 25. I still don't know anyone that wants to take the 25.
There's one side of it. There's one case for Miami. One.
Is that they always give New England a rough time in
That's
Miami?
not even it. It's not even Brady in Miami. It is almost like I said, this feels like one of those college games where the spread is so big the books don't even offer it, like SEC versus Sunbelt
D2 team,
or
yeah.
whatever.
Well, the coin's taking Miami. I'll tell you that right now.
With the college angle thing that I said is sometimes we see when, Nick Saban plays his old assistant coaches, he misses the cover by half a point or a point. And this is Brian Flores. And I don't know if Nick Saban wants to, I don't know if Bill Belichick wants to put a 50 burger up on him. Is the coin gone missing?
Yeah, the coin has gone MIA here. He fell under the table, Tim.
And then he fell. It's like when
What
it
a
falls
what a
under.
what a drunk.
It's like when you drop it between your seat and the car, and it goes under like the track to move your seat back and forth.
Or if you're standing outside on a deck smoking a joint and someone drops the joint and it goes in between the deck, but you can't get it underneath the deck, and then your friend runs out of weed and he loses his mind.
That doesn't sound like a very specific real life story at all.
And
No,
it wasn't me, so stop
it's
making
not Jeff.
assumptions.
Tim, you know who I'm talking about.
I know
Just
the story.
freaking out.
Well, your listeners might have thought it was me.
No, it's not you.
I will say, we're all play devil's advocate here. The Dolphins or Brady's career record in Miami, I believe, is 7-10. So that bears that. Like, if you're gonna pick against the Patriots, I guess this would be a spot to do it. But I think Jeff's point is also well put. That like, what line could the books make it for people to bet the Dolphins? Which is why I think the books should just, if they're in the business of making money, they should just let the market pound this game into shape and just keep going as high as they can. I mean, this is still nowhere near like with the minus 27 that the Peyton Manning Broncos laid into the Jaguars several years ago. I mean, we've seen high spreads, but this is by no means the highest. I don't know. I mean, I don't have the guts to pick the Dolphins, although I do think the Dolphins are probably the right side. I'm going to pick the Patriots, but I feel like I'm not even being listened to.
No, we're listening to you. We have our earpiece, and we were just trying to locate the most valuable member of the team.
I couldn't figure
I
out
think
the
the
trajectory at which it would have bounced.
Okay,
The Dolphins are likely the right side here, but I'm not going to take them. I'm going to take the Patriots because I feel like I don't want this game to be 21-0, and then I've set a game on fire. So I wouldn't bet it. I wouldn't go near it. But I think you have to bet the Dolphins, or you have to not bet the game. As stupid as it is, but I'm going to take the Patriots in the line, and that's it.
So it's funny because Tim likes to play pro line, which is one of the most losing things that you can do. This is a game that Tim would put on a pro line, Miami or New England money line.
Oh, and I should say, stupid as this breaks all kinds of rules, but just give me them as a suicide pick. I don't care. I'll be happy to lose. Actually,
they were actually in consideration to be my suicide pick as well.
You know what? I'm picking them, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope I lose. That'd be great. That would make me so happy.
I'm taking Miami 18.5. Like you, I'm not gonna bet this game, but it's a division opponent. Like, can they really be as bad as they were last week? What happens with Antonio Brown in this game? Do they force feed him touchdowns because they can?
Got a snap count. I don't think he plays that much.
So that means he's gonna score like 8 touchdowns.
It's next week where they really want to use him. I can see it now. This is all just anyway.
All just a what?
Oh,
It's all
that's
just a
what I wanted to say.
conspiracy against the Jets, and they play them next week.
Conspiracy against the Jets.
Well, no, but they loaded up for that Jets game because they know that's a chance to be able to take a stranglehold on the division.
Do you know how much of a non-factor the Patriots see the Jets as? They traded bum receivers to the Jets.
They traded them DT, who's a marvelous player. Used to be a marvelous player. He's now a serviceable player. Now, somebody did tweet at me a tweet I sent out back in April where I said Patriots signing Demaryius Thomas, and it's Granny from the Looney Tunes firing money into the fire where it says money to burn. So apparently in April, that was my perspective on the signing.
Shocking.
When the facts
Shocking.
changed, I changed my opinions. And so I've changed my opinion to think that he will be serviceable for the Jets. I mean, I understand they have to get as much elite receiving talent around Sam as possible to maximize this window. So I think
Elite receiving talent.
Maximize the window to not go 0-16.
I like it. I have nothing else to say about this game, though. Let's move on.
I feel like
Which side are you taking, Geoff?
there's
Pick a
bad
side.
picking Miami right now. I feel like we're losing because it could be 21.
Oh
by
yeah,
Sunday.
absolutely. Yeah.
That's why I'm picking the Patriots.
Because if it's only going to go one way, I don't. Jesus.
Who cares? It's a pick. You're not betting it. Just make a pick.
The Patriots.
All right, me and the coin.
I think it's higher.
Me and the coin getting another game on you guys here when Miami wins this game.
I would be. You have no idea how happy that would make me.
Oh,
They'll win by 1, or they'll lose by 1 or something.
That's fine too.
Okay, Seattle and Pittsburgh. Here we go. This is a game.
I like
Pittsburgh
this game a lot.
favored by 4 at home. 46.5 is the over under here. I'm gonna wager that Pittsburgh's not as bad as they looked in week 1. That might be a hot take. I don't know. But now that they played a preseason game and now they're 0-1, that they might be. Do we see this? We see this game, once every 4 years?
Yeah.
It's a Super Bowl rematch. It feels like I remember every time that these two teams play. Like, they always play good games against each other.
Yeah,
Close
I mean,
games.
if you remember 4 years ago, that was the game where Tomlin started screwing around with the 2-point conversions and the Steelers didn't cover or something. I remember
That's right.
Morency lost a big bet on that or something.
When it comes down to it, I think these teams are very close. These teams are very even. I don't like that Seattle is playing an East Coast game at 1 o'clock. That could be enough to sway me, but I think Pete Carroll's an infinitely better coach than Mike Tomlin is. I don't know if Mike Tomlin is a good coach.
I don't know if it's infinitely better. You could say better if you wanted. That's fine.
The best coaching move that Mike Tomlin ever made is when he tried to trip Jacoby Jones coming down the sidelines. That was savvy. Other than that, and he stole that from the Jets with Sal Alosi, Tim. But I'm going to take Seattle to cover on the road.
All right. Well, I'm going to try to make more games up on you. I'm on Pittsburgh. This is on a short list for potential super locks. This goes back to good teams off the mat. It's another opportunity.
Yeah, they can win this game and not cover, though.
Seattle coming the other way. Cross country. Pittsburgh is going to take this thing by double digits.
Okay. Tim, the coin
Not near after getting embarrassed too on national TV.
The coin is taking Seattle in this spot. Do you think that playing the Bengals, who are not good, very close in week 1 at home in a game that they were just expected to rout, actually kind of keeps their blinders up, like they really need to come out and actually make a statement in this game?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think there's going to be a ton of points scored in this game. I think the over 46.5 is the way I would play it. I think on the Steelers side, they're going to get going. Like Connor's a big day. I think Juju has a really big day. I think the Steelers play well. But on the other side, I think the Seahawks are the better team. And if you're going to give me 4, that lets me tease all the way through 10. So this is the third end of a free money parlay. We'll take the Seahawks up to 11.
Seahawks up to 11. All right. So you're taking the Seahawks against the spread as well?
I am indeed. I think they're slightly better than the Steelers. Steelers could win close, of course, but I kind of like the Hawks here.
Can I just go off the map for a second?
Go for it.
Last week, I brought up, having listened to the CUST corner, about his VCR expertise.
Yes.
And I caught the clip of Tim claiming that he's never experienced like the balsamic vinegar.
Well, I did now.
Hold on a second. That you'd never like been somewhere with it?
No, not before a few weeks ago.
Okay,
No.
so this is I don't mean to like railroad you here. And I listen,
What is this show if not railroading Tim?
okay. I guess I've been to nice restaurants. I've been to like even nicer than nice restaurants. I've been to
Well, we know
low grade.
you don't need the people's charity to
Yeah.
eat at your
No,
800 plate
Whatever
dinners.
that Park Place is where Geoff eats.
Listen, I've been to a place like I've had meals at a place like Park Place. I'm just saying this is not like a normal. My point being is what sort of low rung places have like this is something they would have at like Eastside Mario's.
Yes.
No, they don't.
Oh,
These
that's
is
are
my
the-
point.
They have the breadsticks, which are delicious.
No,
But they
my
don't
point is
have
like
the-
what sort of low rung establishments have you been going to your whole life? Like it's not even a fancy thing.
No, it's
That
just
the first
it's
time
just
you've
a thing.
Yeah, it's almost like in 2019 it's like Salt.
Oh,
Like, it's maybe
that's such an elitist thing to say.
I see. I disagree. Any like Italian place that I've ever been to that serves you bread, even some non-Italian places, it's like just if you get served bread
So-
at Italian place, it's a 99% hit rate that you're getting the balsamic vinegar.
sorry,
At places,
I've been to Pizza Delight where they have your own grill your own bread station. Like they're masters at bread. There's no balsamic and vinegar to mix in there. If they haven't got it there, where like bread is like one of their main things. And the other Italian places that I've been to, like Olive Garden or Eastside Mario's, they don't. I can't continue because you're laughing at me. I don't know why that's funny, other than I think that it's far more elitist than you think it is to have grilled bread with balsamic vinegar and olive oil mixed together. I think that is, again, a very bougie way. And as a man of the people, these are not experiences that I had.
See,
So
I think
we
you're
went-
proving my point when you point out the places you go that don't have it. That lines up with everything I said. Now I'm only bringing it up because you put yourself out there as some like experienced,
super taster is what he calls himself.
like as someone that is like yeah, like just has a lot of information, but really you're working with way less. Like you are incredibly smart, but the things that you don't know are freaking amazing.
I mean, I only know what I've experienced and what I've seen.
I know, but you sell yourself as like as this omnipresent like
I like to think
person
about
of
myself as sort of
information.
an average Joe and a man of the world who has,
No, because a man of the world doesn't just experience a restaurant
Pizza Delight.
with balsamic and vinegar at the table like for the first time in his mid-30s.
they're bread experts. I don't know why you're looking down your nose at them. Like they're bread experts. They know what they're doing.
I love bread. I don't look at, like I can't ditch bread. All this no carb, like that's the I can't. Granted, it can fluctuate. I drop some. I get rid of soda. I'm losing some weight, but I can't drop.
You're
the
off
carbs.
the cam diet? 8 sodas a day?
No, just like any soda. Like outside of needing it, maybe with a cheeseburger or some Crown Royal, no more soda.
I don't really drink like liquor all that often. I'm more of a beerman or a wineman myself. But I have started doing that if I'm going to drink, because I am on the keep the carbs down, keep the calories down. I'm on camera every single day. Got to keep slim here, Geoff.
Well, DC has no cows.
It also doesn't have liquor in it. And it doesn't taste good when I don't drink rum. I haven't been punched in the face since I stopped drinking rum, so I'm not going to go back to drinking rum. But Tim, I actually got on your bandwagon. I enjoy a nice Perrier and vodka with a lemon wedge in it now. It's delicious.
You know what? That probably is.
It's
good.
really delicious.
Never tried it. Sounds way too much like that White Claw stuff.
And I'm not gonna.
Oh yeah, Tim's been railing on White Claw. White Claw's not available in Canada.
He's never had it. He's never tried it. He
And
just.
I don't need to know I don't like it.
What? I brought it up to him, and what teed him off about it though?
He gets triggered by so much. Who knows?
It's just like this new drink that people are enjoying, so he assumes it's some like new age fad, but it's really just something that's existed forever that
It's
someone
not
finally
hipster
decided to
fad.
can up. Right?
People from all ages really seem to enjoy it.
Like I said, you can imagine some, hipster with their opera glasses in line to go to TIFF.
Okay,
Would be-
hold on a second. The only person who wears ridiculous glasses is you when you wear your fake reading glasses when you give speeches.
First, they're not fake. They're magnifiers. When it's dark, it
You
helps
don't
them.
need glasses.
When it's dark, the magnifiers are.
You're
very helpful.
indoors. Wait, what are you doing? Going into the cavern, some sex dungeon, and reading a speech?
When you're at a place where you're trying to read something and it's rather dark, it can be like that at a restaurant too. At certain times of day where it's hard to read, the magnifiers help. And you've gone on TV with fake glasses that are completely ostentatious. What are you talking about?
Listen, I'm not saying that I am not guilty of dressing like someone who looks super fucking cool, but you're throwing shade at people and you're guilty of it too.
No, I'm using it to be practical. I'm not doing it to be.
Oh yeah, that's practical. Your little glasses so you can read up on a podium.
They help. I mean, like I said, I'm not wearing them so I can be seen on E-Talk Daily in the lineup to TIFF.
What an obscure E-Talk Daily.
But it is really annoying that I'd probably have to walk right through that annoying. I don't like this part of the city this time of year.
Well, we are directly next to the TIFF light box. The epicenter of TIFF is outside that door.
And they like block streets, not just to cars. I understand that it's annoying, and like parking lots annoying, and like 8 times the price because there's TIFF people are coming, so we could charge them whatever. But there are people that work in the area. There are people that work in the area that aren't going to TIFF. They just want to get to where they got to go. But they're even closing the streets for like walking, like for pedestrian traffic. It's insane. I just want to point out that all I was trying to do there was show the insane contradiction in your ability to call yourself like the maven of
Tribune of the People.
Yeah, and to have never experienced something that was so common and whatever, and then tell us like it's good, but everyone you're speaking to has had it when they were a 6-year-old boy out for dinner with their parents at a restaurant.
Well, I mean, for those people who live,
No, I'm not. No, you don't have to.
You see what he's doing? He's trying to frame you as an elitist here, not him. See, Tim is
it's not a high grade thing.
No,
it's
it's
just
not.
that like it's
a
literally
normal
at
thing.
like very even low end, nice little like fair beyond fairly priced like mom and pop Italian.
Well, Tim would
place.
never go to that because it's not Olive Garden.
I'm just saying it's
or
not.
Boston- like Boston
it is
Pizza
not
does do it.
seen as like a fancy upscale
Boston
thing.
Pizza isn't an Italian place. It's a fucking pub.
Well, but it's pizza.
It's not even a pub. It's what you would call like an American.
Okay, so
eatery.
they serve pizza, so they're an Italian place. So when McDonald's used to serve pizza, they were an Italian place?
No, but you were getting Italian when you got their pizza. If you understand my distinction there.
There's one more game left here on the early slate.
I meant to do that after the early slate. I'm sorry.
Cincinnati is favored by 1.5 at home against San Francisco. In the game of the week, no one cares and no one's going to watch. 45 is the over-under. Mixon, questionable with an ankle injury. He may not play. Tevin Coleman's out a few weeks. They promoted Jeff Wilson, but Raheem Mostart. Is Mostart a condiment you're unfamiliar with, Tim?
Mostart is going to be a good play this week. He looked quite sharp against Tampa when they gave him opportunities. I'll make this short. I liked the Niners make the playoffs before we started the year. We all despise the Bengals. Through 1 week, the Bengals lost a game. The Niners won a game on the road. I'll take the Niners.
Since Tim picked Cincinnati to make the playoffs in March and then recanted that statement, and they looked really good against the Seahawks, Geoff, are we worried that the Bengals may be reverse cursed? Because I have no idea if San Francisco is good or not. I think their defensive line is good. But other than that, I really can't tell you much about the team.
I'm telling
Jimmy
you.
G threw an awful pick six.
And that knee is not right. I hate this game. I don't want
His
to
knee is
give
like,
it,
that boy, he ain't right.
I don't want to give it a moment. Back-to-back East Coast games for the 49ers. This is like a plug my nose, though. I got more confidence in just the 49ers finding a way to win the game.
Yeah, I think both these teams are, San Francisco is probably better than the Bengals are.
A beautiful fall morning in
But-
Cincinnati.
I'll take the Bengals. Me and the Coin are taking the Bengals. I got nothing more to say about that. Tim, the game you're most excited for, Kansas City at Oakland. Oakland wins their final home opener on Monday night. And that we have to just take that game off the board when we're thinking about betting it. Because the world was just on Denver. It was very clear that by kickoff, it's like, oh yeah, Oakland's definitely going to win this by way too much.
Yeah, and I could show you my receipts from yesterday, even though Denver Super 7, that 3 points was insane, and you could tell right away, pardon my language, but the Raiders were like hate fucking an ex-girlfriend. And the Broncos were that person.
It's interesting. The league did Oakland a good deal of favor by giving them their 2 arch rivals in their last ever game in Oakland back-to-back to start the year before things start going off the rails. Attendance is poor. The fans are becoming disinterested because they know they're leaving. The fans at their peak sort of still, their fervor and their passion for the Raiders. Denver and Kansas City back-to-back I mean, they couldn't have asked for a better start to their season. I think the Chiefs are going to win a very, very close game. I'm talking 27-24, 30-27. I think the Raiders will acquit themselves quite well. I think not having Hill is going to make a real difference. Watkins was able to tear apart the Jaguars, but we all know that Watkins is not as good as Tyreek Hill. I think the Chiefs will be downgraded to a bit. Playing on that infield is a real thing too. Like I think for guys who are not used to it at all, it can be sort of a learning curve and can be kind of tough. That's an advantage the Raiders bring to bear here. I don't know. It wouldn't shock me actually if Oakland won the game, but I think the Raiders are going to cover.
Tease it.
And they are the final end of a 4-team free money teaser where we will take them all the way up.
Pat,
Oakland plus 15. Again, teasing against the Chiefs. Give me Kansas City here. I feel like Oakland shot they were hate fucking their ex-girlfriend. They blew their load, and that's the end of them. Yeah. But now they're a bit back to earth.
Yeah, they lost their confidence, and they'll spend the next 6 Saturday nights like at home alone, playing video games, eating pizza.
Yeah, they'll just be on Tinder the entire night. No one's matching with them.
I'm with you. I got this like 38-21 or something, maybe like 42-20.
Yeah,
I think the Chiefs
the Chiefs will just score it. Will
take care of it. I'm not seeing what Tim is seeing. I will say, me and you were wrong. I think a lot of things happened to lead us here, but that Oakland local crowd, like they've been galvanized, by that whole thing and being embarrassed, in like. From a sporting world thing, they were embarrassed beyond, and that came out. That came out in how they played.
Who do you hate more, the Raiders or the Chiefs?
What's weird is I don't really have, like, they all have it was the Raiders.
Chiefs fans get more triggered than Raiders fans. They're more sensitive. Raiders fans are just crazy.
Listen, the Chiefs fans, they're amazing fans. Chief Kingdom, literally hardcores. Even when that team sucks, it's such a great, passionate fan base. But when the Chiefs are good, there's an era of those Midwest folk that, I don't know, they come off a lot different.
So it's like the arrogance of St. Louis Cardinals fans?
Sure.
Tim, you know what I'm talking about.
But listen, Chiefs Kingdom, it's not fair. Any team that has to go there at nighttime and play in primetime, it's a distinct disadvantage. They are passionate. I look forward to going there to see a game because I won't fear for my safety. I'll eat some great barbecue and we'll have some good football fun.
Kansas City barbecue is trash barbecue.
Oh, this guy's about Brooklyn barbecue. That's his shtick these days. Like
Tim's
hyping Brooklyn barbecue as the GOAT barbecue.
Also, Tim has never been to Brooklyn.
I don't need to be.
Tim has never had any.
I have had that Heinz Kansas City barbecue sauce, and it is terrible. I'm out on Kansas.
Oh my God.
See, this is where people think it's a shtick.
Carolina barbecue is actually much better, more mustardy. I like that better. The Memphis stuff, man, I could take or leave. But no, Heinz 57 has these particular flavors of, I'm sure people have seen them, of the different city barbecue sauces. And Kansas City's is.
And that's how you go about judging the
barbecue
regions.
of a city, yes.
It says Kansas City on the bottle. Of course it is fair to judge it by that.
You rule, man.
So KC for me and you, Geoff the Coin, and Tim are on Oakland.
Yeah, I don't mind going back to that Raiders well.
Lastly, two of my favorite moments from week one had to be the Witten touchdown. And I don't know about you, but if you did not enjoy seeing Tyreek Hill get hurt, I don't know what's wrong with you.
I don't always see anyone get hurt. Whether that's
I
Tyreek
agree,
Hill or
but that
Tyreek
guy,
Hill
that's
victims.
a different ball game.
Yeah, did not feel any empathy whatsoever.
Him. No, yeah, karma sucks, pal.
Yeah, exactly.
Chicago at Denver. This is another later game, obviously. 2.5. The Broncos are dogs at home. 40 is the over-under. This feels like you should just blindly take the Bears, getting less, like, they need to win by a field goal, and they cover the spread. I didn't watch a ton of that Oakland-Denver game. I'm not going to lie to you. It was on a bit late, and I started just writing about golf because I had a golf show to do in the morning. But what was good about them? What happened to their good defense?
I'll interject.
Badly.
No, the defense was horrid. Von Miller was like on a bye week. It was a real embarrassing performance. I was really looking forward to, before the game started, I took the 3. My fear was that those edge rushers were just going to wreak havoc. This Vic Fangio defense was going to cause so many problems for this anemic sort of Raider situation.
Did you know that knowing Vic Fangio is like being in Italy?
According to Tim. That being said, even
Home
with
opener.
the short week, I think I'm going to go to the Broncos here, Pat. Fangio playing the Bears.
Yeah.
What I thought we might see last night, I think it all comes. And the Bears are going to be feeling it.
Denver couldn't protect against the Raiders' pass rush. They have no chance of protecting against Chicago's defense. Mac is going to ruin this game. I think the Broncos are out of it by halftime. The Bears are also on a short list of potential super locks.
You know what? I think the Bears were just dead before kickoff.
They may have been last week.
Sorry, not the Bears. I mean the Broncos.
Oh, well, I thought the Bears were dead before kickoff too. They had absolutely no life in it. But the Bears on a super coming off the mini bye, I think they do just fine, and I think they rip Denver apart.
Yeah, despite being the home opener, the altitude, all those things do work in the favor, and just Fangio knowing the Nagy offense could really throw a wrench into it. But the Bears offense can't be worse than it was in week 1, so that's a bonus. But
Could be the
the
same.
long week versus a short week, the better overall team versus the worse overall team, and there's very few circumstances where you can definitively say that Mitch Trubisky is the best quarterback in the game. This is one of those scenarios, so I'm just not going to overthink this one. I'm going to go with the coin. I'm going to go with CUST, and I'll take the Bears. You're on an island. This is your game to get back.
I'm on an island here, but this is also the one game this week where I've gone against what I said I was doing all down the board, which was the good teams who were 0-1 just to sort of get on it. But I don't know. I'm here for a Bronco bounce back.
If Chicago loses, they finished? Like, are they
No.
making the playoffs?
They have 14 more games left. They're not finished.
They would actually have 14
Someone
more
would
games
be
left,
2-0 because the
Vikings and Packers play each other.
Unless they tie like they did last year.
No, come on, you can't be fair.
I know.
0-2 is bad, but desperation.
I'll take a tie in that game, by the way.
The Texans started 0-3 last season and won their division.
Yeah,
Like,
but that's because the
they're not dead.
That's because the division is bad.
No, but the Colts were good. They were 11-5 and made the playoffs.
Yeah,
Like,
and then they started, 1-5 as well?
Yeah, they were horrible. They're like maybe
both
worse.
the Texans and Colts started badly and made the playoffs. So no, you're 0-2, 0-3. When you're a good team, you can still recover.
Pal,
from-
0-3 is dead.
Well, the
Now
Texans
you're
were
going into
0-3
like
and
8% in the
Yeah,
history.
it's easy. It's just like saying someone's driving down the road and be like, oh, everyone in the car died, but the person who wasn't wearing their seatbelt. Therefore, you shouldn't wear a seatbelt.
I think 0-4 is dead. Whereas I don't think 0-3 or 0. I certainly don't think. I think it's silly to say 0-2 is they just have 14 games left. Like if you say your season's over, you can do the last 14 games. You just play.
Yeah, we're not arguing that, but 0-3, the math shows you're
Dolphins
dead.
season is over.
Yeah, but that was over before it began. That's a different thing.
0-3 historically shows you're dead. Although the Chargers, I think, came back to win a
They were
division.
0-4 in 2008 when they came back.
New Orleans at the Rams. -2.5 for the Rams at home. 53 is the over-under. There's been a lot of talk about Gurley this week because he didn't score the touchdowns Malcolm Brown did, but I actually thought Gurley looked kind of good in that game. I think he averaged like 7.5 yards a carry. He had some good bursts, but he was pulling the Arian Foster, Geoff. Before like anyone was going to initiate contact with him downfield, he just ran out of bounds. Smart for preservation purposes.
Why not?
Didn't think the defense looked very good.
No, but this is road outdoor breeze, and I thought the Saints were lucky to win a game they were not the better team in yesterday. So I'm going to take the Rams.
You're going to take the Rams here?
I am. I think the Rams are the better team, and they're not even getting the full 3. I don't like it. I think everything. So, I mean, the Saints had a big miracle win on Monday night. Really, it's a miracle. They shouldn't have won the game, and now they're coming to play. The team is the defending conference champion on the road, and they're not even getting the full 3. I don't know how you back the Saints against the number. You got to take them on the money line. You can't bet the 2.5.
Well, you can bet the 2.5. This is a revenge situation for the Saints.
That's all well and good. The Rams.
I'm going to take the Saints. I believe this game ends by someone winning it by 3 points. I wish the line was, but
So
it's
if that's
not.
the case, are you just betting them money line then, like Tim said?
Yeah, you take the spread.
Potentially, but I will take the Saints. They do historically start real sluggish, but I don't know. They gotta get it back. For a second, I thought they were 0-1, and that was going to be part of my case. It felt like that though for about 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
Did you
probably
see
even
that?
less than
Like
that.
that.
I just worry about the way that McCaffrey was able to pick apart this defense for the Rams. And then granted, the Rams were on the road. It was in Carolina. It just feels like Kamara is going to do the same thing to them. Like they're just going to have no answer for him. And no one has an answer for Michael Thomas. I still can't wrap my mind around what happened to the Saints last night. Because they were just moving, and then not scoring touchdowns. It was really strange. So if the Rams defense wasn't able to slow the Carolina offense, the Saints offense is better than the Carolina offense, so they should be able to move it. But we know the Rams are a better home team. I'm stuck.
Saints are not great outdoors on the road either.
They're not bad. Like people talk about.
No, I said they're not great. Not that they're bad. They're just
all right.
not
But
great.
so let's say that they're good outdoors on the road. That's still good.
Not against the Rams. It isn't. It's not
Why?
good enough because the
Why
Rams
not?
are a darn good team.
You make a compelling case. I'll take the Saints. That's going to be a no bet for me, unless I'm chasing. Sunday night football. Philly at Atlanta, rematch of last season's opener when Atlanta lost all of its players.
And the 27 and the playoff game the year
In the
before
playoff
that.
game, where both of those last two times these teams have played, it has finished with the Falcons being unable to convert on the goal line.
The Falcons looked abysmal in week one. They're 1-point dogs at home here. 51 is the game total. I think Atlanta wins.
Yeah, if this were a hockey game, we would call it a gut check for the Falcons. That's for sure. Because the way they played on Sunday was pitiful and embarrassing. They put up 12 points against the Vikings. The defense did not play well. Like, they have got to play much better in this game. And I'm going to say this right now. I was very unimpressed with the way Philadelphia played against Washington. I thought they should have cleaned the Redskins out. And the way they did not, the way they let the Skins hang around, got down by 17, gave up 27, makes me a little nervous. And I picked the Falcons to make the playoffs. So I think I am obliged to go inside with the Falcons in this game. So I will.
The one glaring weakness, I mean, the easiest way to get to Atlanta, as we found out, is just run the ball down their throats. It doesn't seem like Philly can make up its mind of what it actually wants to do in the backfield. Like, just play Miles Sanders. He looks like your best guy. Do we really need to see Darren Sproles get like 10 touches in a game? Probably better.
Prime time.
Probably. This is a primetime game. So, yes, if you're playing Showdown, you probably want to play primetime Darren Sproles here. He'll return a kick for a touchdown or something. But the way that you can attack the Eagles is just go deep on them. And Atlanta has the horses to go deep every time they drop back. So it's going to hit. It's going to hit a whole bunch. Like, if the Redskins can get behind their defense.
That's what I mean. Julio Jones and those boys should be able to feast upon them too. I think the back end for the Eagles could be a genuine concern going forward.
Like a genuine, like bringing their pony concern?
I'm going to take the Eagles. Atlanta can't block. They can't play defense. They cannot tackle. Now, this is not a game that I want to lose a lot of money on Sunday and then try to make it up on. If that makes, like, I do not feel that comfortable in trying to chase a bad Sunday on Philly, but I'm going to tell you Philly wins this game.
Yeah, I feel I actually have a bit more confidence Atlanta wins than I do on any side of that New Orleans and Rams game. But
it's Sunday nighter, should be a fun one.
Yeah, you and the coin both like Philly. Me and Tim like Atlanta. You ready?
I am so pumped for this game. The fact that I know Tim makes me even more pumped, but without Tim, I would be hyped.
The main event of the evening.
Do you think people just timestamp their way like right here at the start?
Most people like can't figure out that there are timestamps, let alone know how to use them, despite the fact that if you click it, it jumps immediately to the game.
Like for the NFL 100, this is this week's marquee matchup.
No, Tim doesn't know anything. Cleveland.
I know how to use time codes.
Did you hear what he just said?
No.
It is. Like,
repeat what you said, because I interrupted you.
The NFL is designating one game a week as sort of like their marquee for NFL 100. Last week was Bears-Packers. This week is Jets-Browns as the 50th anniversary of Monday Night Football and the 100th anniversary of the NFL. This week is our week to be recognized.
Cleveland at the New York Jets. The Jets are 2.5-point home dogs against the Browns, coming off a beatdown. 45 is the game total. Since we have last seen the Jets, Tim, they've cut their kicker. They had some D lineman get busted for steroids. Not that he was doing anything else. And they looked really bad last week. So did the Browns. But let's not pretend like the Jets were running on all gears.
No, the defense played quite well. Can't fault them at all. Kicking
Gave up
game,
almost 400 yards.
the defense played fine enough. They got a bunch of turnovers. They held Buffalo to 16 points. You do that, even some of that most weeks, you're going to win. We don't hold them at fault. The kicking game killed us. Ultimately, if the kicker can make a field goal and an extra point, we win the game. It's that simple. The offense played incredibly conservatively and disappointingly so. Bell played quite well. Crowder did what I kind of thought he would do. Anderson clearly isn't 100% right now. He didn't look his explosive self. But nevertheless, the Jets refused to sort of take the car out of second gear, which was disappointing. I was kind of hoping that they would. Gase played it way too close to the chest, and I hope that when watching tape this week, he realizes he let opportunities go. But he didn't call a game to maximize Sam's capacity to succeed. Sam didn't throw any interceptions. He threw one touchdown, no picks. His completion percentage was okay. Like that, I don't hold him accountable for that game either. I hold the play calling and the special teams. That's what really did us in. But I will say that we lost by a point to a darn good team, perhaps the best defense in the NFL. I'm not happy about it. We were up 16-0. We should have won the game. It was deeply saddening that we let in tennis. They would say you had the game on your racket, and then we did, and we let it go. But it's another thing for a team that had crowned itself like Napoleon in the cathedral, crowning himself emperor. It's another thing for a team like the Browns, who crowned themselves NFL champions before the season began, to lose by 30 points at home and play the exact game I feel really bad for their fans, because it's not the fans' fault that they were super excited for the season. It was all the experts and all the prognosticators and people and players on the Browns team that built up an unfair hype and got their hopes way too high. People having the Browns as the favorite to win this division. People telling us the Browns had one of the best quarterbacks in football, that Browns had one of the best offenses in football, that their defense was great. Based on no evidence, based on steam. The monster with feet of clay. That's who the Browns are. And they got their doors beaten off. Now, that may be the best thing that could have happened to them, because one should hope for them.
That's where I wanted to go right there. That loss could be the best thing that happens to their season.
So like Ebenezer Scrooge, they get a second chance. They get a chance to learn from their mistakes and right the ship. We'll see what Freddie Kitchens is as a head coach and what that offense is made of. And that this week, this is a very, very, very big test for them, because if they can bounce back, that will say something about the sort of fortitude they have as a franchise. If they lose again, this team might not win 3 games. This might really unravel quickly. Kitchens did not have a control of that team. There was a lot of people who doubted why he ought to have been hired. People who thought he's an offensive wizard, blah, blah, blah. Well, again, that's not really what you're looking for so much in a head coach. That's an aspect. It's not the only thing. Like, being able to be a leader of men matters too. He certainly did not lead his team well last week. But I refuse to overreact from one game. It is one game. I thought this team was about a 500 team to start the year. I still think they have the talent to be there, but this is a big test. If they lose this game, things could go, they lose them. They get blown at week 1. They lose a primetime game week 2. It could go really, really, really ugly for Cleveland, for their fans and for the team. Like I said, they could completely implode. That is now on the table. So it is by far the most interesting game of the week because of the storylines. But the Browns' struggle certainly helped that. That's sort of what I have to say.
This game comes down to is if Baker's wrist isn't
Oh, his wrist is fine.
Okay, so last year when I was telling you that Sam Darnold was terrible, he was hurt. It wasn't his fault. But now Baker has a hurt wrist on his throwing hand, and all of a sudden that doesn't matter anymore.
Sam missed games. Baker was playing poorly before that.
Baker threw 3 of the picks in the fourth quarter. And
I will say his response was a very poor one when said, they're going to throw the garbage. And I'm glad. I was like, that is, again, immature. That is not the thing you want an NFL quarterback to say. You want to say, we played badly, we own it. You want him to say, I played badly, I played terribly, and I'm going to play better next time, and I'm sorry that I played that way.
Well, why didn't Sam Darnold come out and say, I'm horrible after that Bills game? Because he is.
Mm-hmm. My point stands that everything I thought about the Browns was verified in that week, but it was almost too much. I think they're better than they were last week, but my goodness. You can see the storm clouds forming on Lake Erie around that team. And I don't really want it to go that poorly, because I have nothing against Browns fans. They've put up with a lot of heartache, but they hopefully have tempered their expectations that, this might not be the team that way too many people without any real case evidence built them up to be.
So, Geoff, you're going to kind of be the tiebreaker. I'm taking Cleveland here. I'm going to gamble that Baker's wrist is at least 30%, and that's probably good enough to beat the Jets, because the Jets are one of the worst teams in football. Cleveland, even if they are like a 500-esque team, they should win this game on the road. So I like Cleveland in this spot better. What do you think's better for the show? I think
Better for the show.
A blowout is good for this show.
Which blowout?
Either way.
Yeah, always.
Either way, the blowout is good.
I wish I was getting the full 3. I got to not really agree with Tim, but I think the Jets got this game.
What did the Jets show you last week? Besides that, they're poorly coached and probably not very good.
If
Great
Great, they had a great defense, do they?
If CJ Mosley plays, I will bet the Jets. If CJ Mosley plays.
So you're taking the Jets. I'm the only one on Browns Island here? I like this.
I got to just tell you, the Browns, and I mentioned, the fact
Tim's
they had all
talking
these
about
prime
getting Demaryius Thomas.
They had all these
Like,
prime
Max-
Demaryius Thomas is a good player. He'll be fine.
Shut up. Stop. No, he's not. I'm not
He has the
picking
most catches in a Super Bowl.
Okay. What does that mean?
He had him with that, and Adam Gase was the OC then.
This is where Tim Season's at with
But
the Jets
I'm not,
already.
I'm not there. I'm in my own place, independent of all of it. And I do agree with some of the things he said as it pertains to the Browns.
So this is
I'll frame
only
it
this is
differently.
only about the Browns. We're not even going to talk about the Jets.
No,
not
I
being
really
good.
like the Jets. I like the Jets. They have
the worst quarterback in football,
That
maybe
is
of all time.
You're so wrong.
I'm not.
And that's for the show. And I
They
know
might
you know,
actively be playing him to get the number 1 pick.
No,
You
I want
lost a bet with me this week about who would have a better fantasy week. Like,
I want to say
Yeah,
The
you're right. I did lose a bet to Tim. I bet Darnold versus Baker fantasy points. Baker committed, 4 turnovers and lost by half a point?
the Cleveland Browns are in one of the worst situations in the history of football. Now, let me explain. When you get the hype that Cleveland has gotten without actually doing something. Now, I'm not because again, going into the year, I want to see it go either way. If they start 0-2, I'll be cheering for 0-5. You feel me?
Yeah,
If they get to
I
1-1, I'll be cheering for them to get 5-1. Because I think both extremes for the Browns is really humorous based on the offseason talk. But to be in the situation they are in, having accomplished nothing, and then you've accomplished nothing, and the season starts, and it's pretty clear one thing's happening. You are not the hunter. You are the hunted.
yeah.
The Pittsburgh Steelers should be the hunted. But no, it's you.
But we didn't have the same sort of talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, who lost 33-3 either.
My point being is their franchise, they've accomplished things. The players on that team, they're amazing players on the Browns. That roster is stacked. And if it goes sideways, people deserve to be blamed because there's too much talent on that team. But I think it can be combustible. My point, though, I will die on the hill of when you don't accomplish anything and you're not even the hunter, that's not a good situation to be.
Okay, so besides my trolling on Tim on this one, here's the key to this. Now, Baker's health is the primary key to it. If he's banged up, that's not good news for them whatsoever. They need to be a little bit more disciplined than last week, I think, because they start committing almost 200 yards in penalties. That's not going to go their way either. But their pass rush, we saw, Tim, you can even admit, the Jets' offensive line is not good.
It certainly did not play well last week. They have good players. They played very poorly last week.
That sounds like me answering a question about the Chargers.
Yes. So the Cleveland should be able to put Sam Darnold under duress once again. Maybe he'll have to consult his therapy peacock on the sidelines because he's too triggered by people entering his safe space. That's what I assume happens. But on the other side, the Jets can't cover anybody. They were giving up passing yards left and right to the Bills. And last year, they were the worst team at covering wide receivers. Now, they did address some of those issues. Maybe Mosley is a key to this. But even if he's not 100%, this isn't the Bills wide receiving core coming at you with Josh Allen under center. It's Baker and Odell and Njoku and even Hollywood Higgins out there and Jarvis Landry. That it's going to be tough to cover all these guys. These guys get behind your defense, and the Jets have no answer for that.
There is so much pressure for a week 2 game on the Browns.
And I think
That's why I'm gonna lie. The Jets are it's really, really important for us. The
I would argue the pressure is equal on the Chicago Bears, but the Browns and the Bears Boy, oh
Oh,
boy,
yeah.
do they got to go on the road this week and find it.
But how isn't
And
this one of
find
these
it.
situations where you think that you thought that Cleveland would be a good team?
Yeah,
They go
yeah,
0-1,
bounce back, yeah. But
And now
I
they
also
play a
like the
bad
Jets.
team, but
I
you're
also
picking the
like
bad
the Jets. Jets is a home underdog at home.
Yeah, I mean,
I think the Browns are so combustible.
I agree with you that they are combustible, but they're a more talented team by a
Yes,
significant
I
margin.
don't know why they
Well,
couldn't
I
get
don't know.
to they couldn't get to Mariota when shit, what's his name? Not is it Conklin? Lewin is suspended. They got a guard who couldn't play. They couldn't do anything against that O-line. I know it's week 1. I don't want to make overreactions, but I don't want to overreact to the Jets playing poorly either. And 10 days ago, if you asked me who I was going to pick to this game, I'd pick the Jets.
All right.
And
So-
part of that is probably in my own personal, like I'm picking the Jets because I believe in 8 years, Darnold will be seen as the better of these two quarterbacks.
he might be starting in the XFL.
Now, the difference between me and Tim is I had that opinion way before Tim did.
So Tim, you had them going 12-4 to begin the year.
11-5.
They've already lost one of the games that you said they'd win. What's their record now?
11-5.
What's their record now?
11-5. I'm not changing my opinion. We'll probably steal one from somewhere else.
The Raider game.
Yeah, they're
You got to
the
give
Raider game
yourself
you had
that
them
Raider
losing.
game back, man.
No, if anything, I feel worse about that. That Raiders team is going to be a dark horse contender for the playoffs. You watch. That the Antonio Brown stuff will have a rallying effect on that franchise. Remember, I said that.
Do you want us to actually remember you
Wait,
said that?
you
Because
don't
all the
get-
other stuff that you put the suffix of "remember I said that" is all stuff you don't want people to remember.
But he just made a comment that is like a very common narrative at this point.
But that Oakland is just playing fuck you mode and going to make the playoffs? That is not common.
No, I
Going
mean,
to,
no,
but
I
I said
didn't
they're
say,
going to be competitive.
whatever.
What does that mean? That they go 2-14 but lose a lot of close games?
No, I mean, any Oakland success this year will be framed as a,
Oh, yeah.
that's sort of was my point. Not that
Okay.
they will pull that off.
So Cleveland for me, the Jets for you three. Coin, what are you doing to me here? You're supposed to be on my side.
Listen, I did not take a week 16 strategy to get my games back, but I think me and you might be on the same page in like 2 of them.
Well, you're not riding a heater, so I got to go opposite you.
That's very true.
But me and Tim are actually on a lot of the same games here this week. I don't love that. Superlocks of the week. I had it narrowed down to 2. I'm 1-0. I'm feeling myself a little bit here. It came down to Geoff, the Bills, and the Jags. I'm taking the Bills minus 1.5 at the Giants is my super lock.
What's your other one?
Jags would have been plus 8.5.
Because even last week, your other lean was the Colts, and that would have
I
hit
took
too.
the Colts last week.
Oh, I thought you went with their. Oh, never mind.
No, the Colts plus 6.5 is my super lock last week. Tim, what's your super lock?
It's between the Redskins and
The Raiders. Say the Raiders.
And the Raiders. And give me the silver and black.
Oakland super lock against Kansas City, getting a solid 8 points at home.
See, everything is connected to something else. Is his thing to go against Kansas City all part of the plan where in his mind the Chargers have to win the division, so he has to find these games?
Yes.
Like he's forcing it is sort of like my point.
No, I said nice things about the Raiders all season. And I think
That's true. He has.
I think the Raiders are a team that should cover here at home. Their last ever home game against an arch rival. I kind of like the spot.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, I've narrowed it down to 2 games, and it is the Packers and the Steelers.
And I'm on the other side of both those games.
Yeah, you are. I'm going to take the Steelers.
Steelers minus 4 at home
Yeah.
against the Seahawks. Survivor picks. We're all still alive. Like I mentioned, this is the first time in 3 years that we've all made it to week. Like the 3 of us as a collection have made it to week 2. We may have done it last year. I don't quite know.
No, I lost
No,
week
we
1
didn't.
last
So
year.
did
It
Tim.
makes
We both
sense.
lost week 1 last year. Jeff and I.
So Tim, you said you're taking New England. I'm also taking New England. I'll burn them here. I don't care. I don't feel good about any other like overall win. Jeff?
Yeah, I don't want to take Baltimore. I'll take New England and just whatever, bag it.
All right, so we're all going to be
Like
out.
the
Going next
NCAA
week.
tournament. Survive in advance.
Free money teaser of the week. 7-point teaser for Tim. Tell me if I got this right. Indianapolis plus 10. Jacksonville plus 15.5. Seattle plus 15 or plus 11. Oakland plus 15.
That, sir, is worth a couple of farms.
Is
Has
it
he
actually worth
ever-
a couple of firms
has
or is
he
that
ever-
not even money?
Has he ever taken the dog like on his whole
It's
sheet?
plus 200.
So it's 2-1?
What horrible value.
What?
Just teasers.
Yeah, teasers aren't great, and they always
but-
lose.
3
You
months.
got to like in the end, you still got to sweat these games. They're called teasers.
Yeah, I would win so much more. I would actually be profitable betting football if I didn't play teasers and parlays. Straight up.
Yeah,
If I just bet like a game a week and played a whole bunch, I've been killing props so far.
teasers. They call it a teaser. You look any teaser on paper.
I don't
looks
love this
appealing.
one looking at it.
Oh, I'm not even. Well, fine, fair enough, but you know. what
Tim
I'm
has
saying.
managed to construct teasers that you look at them and you're like, really?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Let's do it. On the Pat Mayo Experience, Geoff Fienberg. Check him out on Twitter. At G Fienberg.
I can't wait for
17.
Monday night.
You talked over your Twitter handle.
Wasn't looking at the screen. That's all I know.
Have you actively tried not to look at it today?
I don't think I looked at it once.
He's been excellent today.
Paul says you've been excellent.
Although sometimes I do like to see the graphic, and then I get caught looking because I'm like looking at the TV.
Okay,
'cause we
when
put
you're
up
coming out of the graphic and you're doing this, but you're also doing this at the same time,
Well, I'm always
you're not looking at the
doing
graphic.
that. I'm always doing that. All right.
Paul, you can follow on Twitter at Paul Shag. The Coin, someone's running a Coin Twitter account now,
I've seen it.
claiming the Coin watches all the games, which, I kind of believe. And me, at the PME on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you're looking for the cheat sheet for this show, it'll be up on my Facebook page on Wednesday morning. You can just find just the entire sheet. It's also in all my columns up on dkplaybook.com as well. Hit the description for the Pat Mayo Experience Draftkings Listeners League, and that'll do it. I suppose I should thank Tim and CUST!
Tim and August.
That is not my name.
for being on the line today. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
What's going on? Are you getting a Hummer there in the background?
That was going on a couple times in this show.
There's been like a bunch of motorcyclists driving by my house for some reason, and I don't know why.
Did you live by a road?
Possibly.
And now people are all amped up. They survived the hurricane. Now they're living dangerously.
Yeah, well, Nietzsche says the secret to living life is or enjoying life is to live dangerously. So.
Wow, great. Thanks. How come you don't do that?
I live dangerously in my own ways.
Can you please explain that to me? Is it taking the Raiders every week? Is that your example of living dangerously?
Being a Jets fan is injurious to my health.
Oh, I suppose that's probably true. Help us get to 15 million downloads by subscribing, rating, and reviewing the audio podcast for the Pat Mayo Experience. 5 stars, Draftkings handle, something nice about the show, and download those other shows that you don't even give a shit about, and then just delete them as soon as it's over. Tim, would you do that for me?
I have my phone set to just download new stuff when the Wi-Fi data is connected. So, like, whatever your show is, it downloads.
Nice. See, Tim is not a part of the problem on this one. So hopefully you people out there will not be a part of the problem. Be a part of the solution. Help the Pat Mayo Experience get to 15 million downloads for the year. And I want to thank you all for watching. Good luck with your bets and wagers. I'll be back on Thursday with the DraftKings preview. I'll be back on Friday with an injury update. And Tim, myself, and Gary will be live 9:30 a.m. on Sunday morning to talk about all the games and answer all your questions. Until then, I'm Pat Mayo. I'll see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience! Experience!